Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
I have to start the show by asking G. Bush to throw up those fresh kicks. Can you get them up that high? I haven't seen those. Are those new?
These are semi-new. Semi-new.
Fresh, G.
Yeah, I have not seen those. Those are nice. You know what those remind me of?
What's that?
The old school Houston Oilers.
Oh, yeah.
They had the freshest uniforms in the game.
The powder blue and the red.
Powder blue and red. I love powder blue. Works for anything. Carolina blue.
Yeah.
But when you mix the red in there with that, and what's odd is the Titans kind of had those colors, but they went with a darker blue now too.
Yep.
Those were just, damn, those old Oilers uniforms were
And the
fresh.
craziest part about it is Kevin Stefanski could have worked for them. You know, they had the 5 wide. They had
the run and shoot.
With Jeffries.
Jerry Glanville. He used to leave tickets for Elvis at every game.
I don't like the Texans name and logo hour. I don't know why they didn't go back to the Oilers.
They should go
I know
back.
they really should. They absolutely should.
Between them and the Chiefs is the classic ones because they only got like one uniform. But it's just something. Do you think that the Guardians fans feel like they got bamboozled? Because there is something that says when you say you're coming into Arrowhead Stadium, it's just a level of intimidation.
So it's back to Arrowhead now. It's no longer Burrowhead.
Oh, yes, that's Arrowhead.
It's officially Arrowhead.
It's official Arrowhead.
I hate it's actually G-H-E or whatever nonsense that is.
But
I refuse.
The way
It's like Mile High Stadium, too.
It's still Mile High.
Just stop with these crazy names.
Man, did the Guardians feel like they got pushed out a little bit?
Well, what was nuts was they were told by Major League Baseball that they were also undergoing talks with the Braves, who were likely to change their name. And then once they gave Atlanta the All-Star game, like they did to Cleveland to get them to switch, Atlanta was like, no, we're good. We're good again. Not only are they the Braves, which is, I thought the Redskins was offensive. There are levels of offense. The most offensive thing to me is the tomahawk chop.
Because the chop, they didn't know. I'm like, you do know people. That means scalping.
Yeah, that's.
And do you know that was one of the most devastating ways to perish?
And they're like, don't care.
Don't care.
And what was funny was the commissioner who was behind the scenes pulling all the levers to get the Indians and the Braves to change their names, literally when interviewed at the World Series when the Braves were at home, he said, we've talked to area troops, and they find this to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Oh.
Really?
I see.
Well, this is just, I just thought, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent
and we digress.
Right.
Welcome to the show. You can tell by now, there's no Bull. He's still out sick. We're told perhaps Thursday.
Yeah, do you guys want the HIPAA update?
Yes. Give us the McNuggets HIPAA update.
Before I read it, I'm just going to make sure he hasn't tweeted it out. I don't want to say anything that he hasn't put out on Twitter.
Make sure that he's good with whatever information
He's Bull. He doesn't care.
I know he doesn't.
Yeah,
no, listen, I have been in communication with Bolt. He sent me his list for a top 5 later, which we're going to get to.
Right,
He sent me his. I'm just, Bolt, we love you, man. He's on antibiotics. They can't tell if it's one thing or another. I'm not going to tell you what they are because that is HIPAA violations.
Right.
So they're like, it's either one of these two, so we're going to give you the antibiotics to figure out which one it is. And he did say this morning he's feeling better. He can't talk for more than a minute straight, which would make doing this show extremely difficult.
Make it
I don't
impossible.
think Bull talks in anything less than 90-second monologue straight at any point. So still not back. Man. He's not shadow banned. He's not distraught. He's just sick. And Jay, I did appreciate your Instagram message this morning.
Was that not hilarious? Someone sent that to me.
We're gonna put that up. We'll pull it up for the end of the show.
I swear to God, I was laughing so hard I had real tears streaming down my face. It was an Instagram post, and it said something to the effect of, he said it to my direct message, I'll have to check it, something to the effect of, I've found Bull. And the video, first of all, I had to watch the video to make sure that it was real because it's just alarming. And I don't know if I can handle it if you show that.
So it's a reel, so I'm not sure how Tagboard and Reel talk to each other through our system, but we're going to do our best to get that up because it was hysterical.
Okay, I hope we can. I really hope we can because it was very good.
It's very funny.
In the meantime, I'll do my best, Bull. Baker sucks.
Nailed it.
Go Bengals.
No matter what the topic is, F them. No matter what it is. I don't
Bad
care
job
what
out
it
of them.
Actually, Jay, you're wrong on this one.
yeah, you're right. Bad job by you guys, and let me tell you why.
Yeah, he's right.
Busy show today. We're going to do the Browns offensive grade card. I know that seems a little late. We were going to do it 2 weeks ago when the regular season ended, 3 weeks ago, and we got a little off track because of the Joe Woods firing. So we backtrack a little bit. We're going to give our grades on the offensive attack. Aditi's joining the program. It's been a minute since we've seen her. She's going to talk to us about the Browns grades. I think she might even have her own grade card for us. She's also going to give us her thoughts on the NFL playoffs. I'm told that this Ultimate 5 is going to be the most contentious and perhaps the most controversial in show history. We're approaching a year on the air now.
It's tough.
This better be good.
Well, here's the thing. We're doing the Ultimate 5 most demoralizing penalties in an NFL game for a fan to endure.
Like what we saw from
Based off what we saw in the Bengals game where a late hit puts him in position to kick a game.
Did that make your top 5?
That's in the top 5, yes.
Okay.
And each person, I think personal experience matters in this one. It has a certain kind of penalty kind of cut you deeper than it's cut someone else.
I'm the only one old enough on this panel to I think I'm going to have one that's off the list. I'd be surprised if you guys came up with this. It brought tears to my eyes in a joyful way. That might give it away, but we'll have that debate. I'm looking forward
Jay,
to
we
that.
have the video of both. We should play it.
Okay. So this was sent to me, and the message was something along the lines of, "Bull is not out sick. I think I found him."
Let's take
and
one.
so, will our mics be open over this?
Yeah, you guys.
I've seen this before. I've seen this before.
It gets better. Look at that pass.
He's nice, bro.
Wow.
I told you I could hoop.
Oh my God! I saw this and I was just,
He's out of bounds.
I was just dead.
There's also Smooth
Step
Criminal
back.
by Michael Jackson is playing underneath it.
That you can't hear.
You can't hear.
Which does add to the comedic value. Look at that pass!
Hey, look.
It's a behind the look, no look behind the back drop pass.
Hey, by the way, this is out. You got to understand, if you're a hooper, outside by random pine trees, do you understand this is almost
incredible.
This is double rim. Look, oh, I see you, Luca.
Look at that. So, Bull, we know you're not sick. This is clearly you. I think Bull put this video out to show his young hoopster basketball team.
He shaved his head to try and disguise himself.
I can ball. Yeah, it's like Kyrie when he went to
the old man.
What is the old man? That's
it's like
our
if
Bull.
Jonah Hill and Bull had a baby.
Hey.
I didn't.
What a pass. Listen, this is it right there.
This dude can ball, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Listen, Bull had to show his team he was unacceptable. They weren't running the plays right. He said, I could do this. I show you I'm better than you.
We should give an update on the
Step
Rocky
back.
River Raptors, by the way.
And let's do that right now.
Yeah, they lost again. They're 0-4. They blew a big lead this past Saturday. But they did, since my coaching.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't. I just saw a text from Bull. But since my coaching, we have not scored less than 12 points a game. So offensively,
Clearly, you're the difference.
we have thriving. Now, I have to come in and do a defensive clinic for
Please.
these 9-year-olds.
Please.
That's next on the docket, but
Yeah.
it's going to be tough.
Look at this.
Was it at least close?
They were up 20-9, lost 25-24, I believe.
Look at
Can't
Wait,
close.
what?
They were up 20-9.
Yeah.
And then lost 25-24.
They can't close.
They went on a 16-4 run.
They need an ATO.
Mismanaged timeouts. I got to get on the head coach for
Need
that.
a draw up a play
By-
at the end of the game.
By the way, there is no.
Close and late.
get to
Not
shoot the
Bull's
ball.
strong suit, apparently.
I mean,
Not Bull strong.
I
suit.
mean, there is no shot clock. I mean, there is a thing called
Yeah, when it's 20-9, if there's no shot clock, just work the four corners.
That's right.
It's called 1-4 high.
Can you imagine the parents on the other team?
losing their minds.
Shoot! It's not fair!
Actually, I guess Bull wasn't
Yes.
there Saturday because he was sick. So you can't put that one
that's
on
right.
him.
He's
Bull,
sick.
Bull was not there. And real quick, they lost 29-25, excuse me.
Oh.
And Aaron did score his first bucket.
Oh,
so
great.
shout out to Aaron. Bull wasn't there for that, which is the worst part.
Yeah.
He did miss that, but Aaron's going to score a ton more. I've been working on him one-on-one with some post moves. And also, real quick, before we move on to the Browns, Jason, a.k.a. Daddy White Shack, because your son is Baby White Shack.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to give your son a shout-out for his stat line real quick?
AJ played the best game of his life. He's the biggest kid on the team. Like
How old?
12.
12.
But he looks like he's 34. Like one of the
Does
other.
he look older than me?
Oh yeah. One of the other dads who we play baseball with walked in. He actually is a team doctor for the Indians, the Guardians. And he walked in, he goes, dude, I said hi to AJ, and it felt like I was talking to a teenager. He's like, hey, what's up? He's got like a little stash. My son has an irrationally deep voice. Like, it's unbelievable talking to him. It's jarring.
Wow.
So he had 18 points and I think like 20 rebounds. The first,
18 and 20.
The first game, he was 0 for 11 with like 10 rebounds because he kept missing and then he'd get his own rebound. And I told him, like, dude, just hit the glass. Just bang off the glass. That's what it's there for. Hit the box. Hit the square. And so all week long, he hit the square. And my God, he went out there Saturday and nobody could stop him. So I called him White Shaq. So we're calling him Whack this week. He's Whack.
Whack.
So Whack, great job, buddy.
I love
18
this.
points and 20 rebounds.
Now,
Best game
is he the one that you brought to the house for the?
Yeah.
He's 13.
12.
12?
He's 12. He'll be 13 in June. Yeah. We're going to have to start bringing the birth certificate.
Yeah, there it
with us.
is.
Yeah.
And I'm like 5'9.5" on a good day.
Is
and
he
my
taller
wife
than
is
you
like,
already?
Oh, he's 5'6.5". We just measured him.
At 12.
And my wife is not tall either. And so we don't know where this thing came from.
Did you grow early?
I never grew at all. That's the problem. That's why I'm 5'9.5".
I'm worried that AJ's going to be like 5'11" in fifth grade and just never grow.
Well, no, the
just never grow.
doctor said he's probably going to tap out like 6'4".
Oh,
So
wow. So
there's
he's gonna be a
height
big
on
kid.
my wife's dad's side.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it has to.
Isn't it
where it's
weird
coming
how
from.
that can skip generations and then boom, there it is?
Yeah, there it is.
You know?
And he's Italian, so that's where the facial hair comes from. And he's got
This
the
is
Mahomes,
fantastic.
the big bushy Mahomes.
I'm just hoping for a second baseman. Short
switch hitting or a left-handed
or
throwing.
left-hand, yeah,
You know,
somewhere
you get
around
left-handed throwing.
infield. Yeah, we're not gonna do any big guys. Now watch, my kid might be bigger than me, but see,
Well, your wife's tiny. I imagine
she's like
most
5.
of her family is probably smaller.
yeah, like they're very small. They're like miniature micro machines.
You know what though? I mean, if they get your even if they don't get your size, but they get your athleticism,
yeah.
you got a lottery ticket there, bro.
I got a little ticket. 6 foot. They can. Hey, I need you to have a lot of range. Pick your toys up from that chair to that wall.
You know, be careful though. We as parents, you'll find, and you might do this. You tend to pigeonhole your son or daughter into a sport.
Yeah.
For me, it was easy because I wrestled. I definitely wasn't going to wrestle in college. I didn't want anything to do with it. I was done cutting weight and working out and all that. So I was just, you're a baseball player. And it was from 10, 11, 12, and that's all I ever wanted to be. But my son, we thought that he was either soccer or baseball and was being recruited as a sophomore heavily in both. Then he decides, I'm going to run track my junior year indoor. And that was a wrap. He never played baseball again.
That's crazy.
He played soccer still because there was no track and field in the fall.
Yeah.
There was an indoor in the winter and an outdoor in the summer. And, you spend money on personal hitting coaches and pitching coaches and soccer camps and all of this investment. And then all of a sudden, I think I'm going to be a track star.
Incredible.
And like that, life changes.
And that's it.
Yeah, so you never know. And some of them grow later and a little bit.
Wait, well, Jay, one more thing before we go on to real content here. I just thought of this.
Wait, is the show started?
How
This isn't on air, is it?
we should do. Y'all know King of the Hill in basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
King of the Hill versus every UCSS kid, from the youngest to oldest. I'll start taking on Aaron, then I'll play baby Shaq, then we'll get Earl's daughter who plays at Cleveland Heights, then I'll get all the way up to Brad's daughter who plays D1, then Corey's the boss.
Yeah,
I got to beat them all.
Good luck against that kid.
That's
I gotta beat 'em all.
awesome. That's great.
In basketball.
If
Not
Cheyenne's
track,
ever
but
in
in
town,
basketball.
let's pull it out.
I can see video now of McNuggets blocking Baby Bull and standing over and saying, "You want some of this?"
I would watch that.
I would
I
too.
would watch that.
That actually, we might have. And how about DeQuell's, because he's my child. That's the last boss.
Oh, that hurts.
Hey.
You're going mayor of Cincinnati now.
After DeQuell last week said I was the water boy, it's all.
He did.
He wants all the smoke.
He could have given you a kicker roll and he called you the water.
Yes,
Call me a water
he
boy.
could've.
So we're gonna set that up.
All right, very good.
We'll see what
Let's
Baby
dive
Shaq's
into these
availability
Browns
is.
grades.
Yeah.
Do you want to do one category at a time? Do you want each of us to give our card all at once?
We got G ready first, so we're
Okay.
gonna let G explain everything. We're gonna let everyone explain. We're gonna let the YouTube chat vote on who the fairest grader is. We also have
The
both cards for
Ferris,
this.
we should have known that was a wrap. I'm back
And
to being
then
a knee jerk.
we'll come back and we'll see where we all disagree. But
Well,
G,
you've had 3 weeks now.
Yeah,
You
3
could have
weeks.
changed
I
your mind.
I could have.
he did not though. G did not change his
Okay.
mind. G, you're up first. Let's
All right,
take it,
here we
Mike.
go. Here we go. Where are we looking at? Yeah. So listen, we got to get to this, man. We looking at it. So we'll take the passing game. Now C+. Now people might be mad at my C+ here. Now let me give my rationale on the C+. look, you had some really ups. You had Amari Cooper, who had one of his better years since he's been in the league, and you did that with a backup quarterback. I also like the fact that Jacoby Brissett is going to make himself some money on the open market a little bit as well. The reason I had to knock you down to a C+, and it could have been upwards of a B, is I just don't know how I feel about Jacoby Brissett looking better than Deshaun Watson. I didn't see some of the same. I didn't see some of the same type leaps and bounds. And granted, he was out for a long period of time. But my thing was, I was imagining that offense as I was looking at other teams playing this weekend or playing it later on in the season. And there seems to be a big difference in the way they scheme it up.
Let me ask you this: what grade would you give Brissett, and what grade would you give Watson? Then?
I give Brissett all the way up to a B. He has all the way up to a B.
So then that brings Watson. Watson's like a D.
Yeah, the Watson game plan was almost a D. It could have been D- at some point. I mean, the Texans game was ugly. There was a couple weather games in there, but then at the end of the year, they really could have ended on a high note. But they played one of the worst games against the Steelers, who had a backup rookie quarterback. I didn't see the preparation. I didn't see them moving to a point where it's like, oh, okay, I can see this moving. I can see this happening.
Yeah.
Offense was a little. Passing game was messed up for me. Now, the rushing attack, I would give it A-. Now, look, a lot of people, shout out to Adam the Bull. I know he's somewhere yelling. They ran the ball the most in the league, third most, right? Yes, we know. 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Anybody would take that type of production, right?
Absolutely.
You got almost 500 yards from your backup running backs. The Browns ran the ball. I would have liked to see them run it in a little more, I would say, situational football.
Hang on a minute. What did you say your grade was for rushing? I was looking at my phone.
A-.
After all the bitching and moaning you guys did all year long about how they weren't running the ball enough, you go and give them an A-?
Well,
Yep.
I think well, I'll let you explain it, but when they were asked to run the ball, they ran the ball great.
Beautiful.
I think the problem was situationally when you felt they should have been running more and they weren't.
They could have I could have gave them an A+. Like, there's a lot of thirds in there, and I see, like, because you got to think about it. We talked about poaching the other day. The Browns at certain points in time, Jason, had one of the knockdown, drag-out best O-lines. Plus, the backs was moving. Plus, Nick Chubb was healthy for every game, it seems like. So my thing was that 1,500 could have easily been 1,700, 1,800. Yeah. Now, I will say this. They threw the ball a little more, and then out of retrospect, Jacoby Brissett allowed them to throw the ball a little bit more than they used to because he had such a nice year, and I like what he did. But for me, the game has always been an A. It's just nitpicking about how much more they could have got. Now, the worst part is this. That creativity is a D.
Why?
And the reason I give them creativity is because I just watched in the playoffs, Chris Jones. They moved him all over the place. They had him over the center. Yeah. They had him over the three technique. When they needed a rush to get the game over, guess what? He's over the tackle. I watched the Kansas City Chiefs be down to nobody. And they had to fix it. Sky Moore, you're going to be our number one receiver. Tight ends had to come in. You look at it like this. Even when Shanahan didn't have no quarterbacks, they at least still scored a couple touchdowns, right? They still got on the board. But you look at the way that these other teams are being creative. Miami, right? They get on the board. Jacksonville. I just didn't see the creativity level. Maybe that's due to the scheme. Maybe that's due to the coaching. But I think it's due to their roster a little bit. And consistency, I think I gave them an F because the Cleveland Browns, to be honest with you, at their peaks, can play with any of those teams, which is disappointing, Jason. At their peaks, like there's 5 to 10 minutes of a game where you put a Cleveland Browns tape on and they can play with any team in the league. But it's just the peaks and the valleys in their gameplay, the non-consistency. If they want to get to where they want to get, it has to get better. I gave them an F.
Pretty harsh. I thought I was harsh, but yours are tougher than all of mine. Jay, do you want to go?
Yeah, mine's going to look different than his. It's funny because you were killing him all year for not running the ball enough, and you gave him a better grade than I did.
That's why you wanted to know what you gave him.
Well, no, because I'm like, wait a minute. You just rushed him out. Go ahead. You got mine. Go ahead and pull it up. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a different order than what it was on my phone. But rushing attack, I gave him a B+. This is kind of straightforward. I think they were 6th in the league in rushing yards. So if you want to cut it up, there's 32 teams in the league. The top 5 or 6 or so A's. The next group of 5 or 6 are B's, C's, D's. It's not the best way to do it, but it's at least a benchmark. So I gave him a B+ in rushing. I gave him a C- in passing. Almost was a D+, just because Deshaun dragged him down so much. Even as good as Jacoby was, we were raving all year about what a great year Jacoby had, and it was. But that's considering the standard that we had set for him. Overall, in terms of NFL, it's still not elite level quarterback play.
Can I sneak in and ask you a question? If Jacoby had stayed quarterback, do you think the Browns would have made the playoffs?
No.
You think would they have won a couple more?
They might have got one more.
But
You said with Jacoby.
With Jacoby, the
plays
whole
all year,
season.
they don't make the playoffs. No.
Well, I mean, Watson, they were 3-3 with Watson.
Right. Yeah.
They were under 500
With
for a
Jacoby.
bigger sample size.
Yeah.
They were 4-7.
Right.
With Jacoby. It was weird. I thought their offense looked way better with
Right.
Jacoby. But I think the schedule had something to do with
Absolutely.
that. They caught some real sleepers.
Yeah, they did.
In there.
And so, for as well as Jacoby played, we've pointed out he had just crushing interceptions at the end of some of those losses. Obviously, Deshaun, the last 6 games was not great, and that drags the game down. I was better than you were. I was more favorable on the consistency and on the creativity. Creativity, I give him a B, because we're talking about the creativity of the offense. Guys, there were dudes open all over the field. That wasn't the problem. And David Njoku, if he catches the ball in the end zone against the Saints, we're having a different conversation. The pass interference call on Amari in the Baltimore game, I thought was an awful call. The play was there to be made. He made the play. He caught the ball and gets called for a really bad, I thought, questionable push-off. So, I mean, the margin that we're talking about is this. So it's not the creativity issue, and I know I've mentioned this before. A lot of the guys on the offense love the offense because of the misdirection, because you don't know the motion, you think we're going here, we're actually going there, you think we're going there, we're actually coming back here. So I don't think creativity is the issue at all. I think you need better quarterback play. If you have better quarterback play, the consistency, the level's going to go up. And if you make some of the plays that are there to be made.
See, I gave him the consistency thing because of the defense. For me, not consistency, but the creativity for me was an F on defense. So,
Gee, you knew these were the offensive
the
grades.
offensive
We're doing
grades.
defensive grades tomorrow.
Oh, well, in that case, this changes a lot. These should be a lot higher than.
Hold on, G. Bush came up.
This
G. Bush,
should be a lot higher than.
Rosanna Dana.
Yeah.
Came upstairs to the production offices for an hour yesterday.
Yeah.
I would not let him leave till he sent me his all-time Cavs lineups because we knew if he didn't send them yesterday,
These is down a little bit. Raise that up a little bit. I can't give him no D on that. Like, you got creativity. I give him a B- on that one. See how easy that changed?
We're doing defensive ones tomorrow, so save your defensive analysis for tomorrow.
And what I have for consistency, a C. I give him a C.
Yeah.
I think
A C.
C, yeah. So, I mean, it was frustrating at times. Listen, there's a couple play calls that I wanted to jump out of the press box on. You're going to have that, I think, with any team. You're going to have those plays. Like the 4th down call at Atlanta, I hated. The Brissett throwing to the end zone against Cincinnati, I hated. There's always going to be those calls throughout the course of the season that you're going to look at and go, oh, my God, what are they thinking? The play caller probably goes, oh, my God, what was I thinking after some of those? But overall, the offense is not the reason the Browns sat home and watched the playoffs this year, so I couldn't be terribly hard on them.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, if you're looking for the silver lining here, it was the offense. All of that being said, they just weren't nearly good enough to overcome a defense that was as big a disappointment for a unit on the Browns that I can remember.
Yeah.
In other words, we weren't talking about them coming into the season being upper half or upper third, which would be top 10. Mm-hmm. When we would say top 5, the players would correct us and say, oh, no. We're going to be number 1.
Yeah.
We want to be so that's the bar set by you guys. The bar was number 1. So that's the defense. We'll save that for tomorrow. Offense, passing game, straight C. And the reason it was a C was because it had a lot to do with what you said. I thought Brissett was better than the guy that we were paying $230 million to.
Yeah, I couldn't.
And I know Watson had a lot of rust, but I want to see that rust knocked off after 3 games. And I never saw it go away. In fact, the last game of the year against Pittsburgh, I thought maybe was one of his worst. I didn't see any progression whatsoever, which is what led me to make my statement at the end of the season. I'm getting really concerned that we'll never see that guy again. That, like some of these quarterbacks that have come and gone and flamed way too young, is that happening to our guy? I don't know. I think it's a fair question when we've seen 6 games. If it was 2 games after 2 years off, okay. We had 6 games. By week 3, I want to see no rust. I want to see the old player starting to emerge. Never saw that guy. That's why it gets a C. And I thought if it wasn't for Brissett, if Brissett played as we thought he would, the passing game's a D. But he played far better than we thought he would. Rushing attack B, why not an A? For exactly what you said. I thought situationally there was times when we should have been running the ball, and we weren't. We're a run-first team. Why is it that our offense is always passing the ball more than they're running the ball when everybody in this front office will tell, when you look at the roster construction, we're built to run. That's the way this team was built. Yet it's like you buy a Ferrari and now you want to use it as a 4x4. You want to use it as a monster truck. You built the team. You built it to be a run team, and there were times when they could have milked games away by running the ball, and they weren't able to do that. So that's why it wasn't an A. Creativity, I gave them a C-. I disagree with you, Jace. I thought my bar for creativity offensively is Andy Reid. And I know that some of his gimmick plays didn't work, but the hook and ladder that they tried.
That was going to be crazy.
And here's the thing about that, guys. That's a playground play. You've run that. When you were 8 years old, you ran that on the playground. It's almost like, it's so absurd. It's like the Statue of Liberty. Right. Is that what he's going to pull out in the Super Bowl?
The ring around the Rosie against the Raiders in week 17 or 18.
Unbelievable. This is like mind-blowing stuff. So to me, if you're grading on a 100-point scale, Andy Reid and that offense is the 100. And I see moments where Kevin Stefanski is creative, but then you put Jacoby Brissett in on 4th and inches and you throw to the end zone.
That when you mentioned, I was talking to my dad after the game, and he said, he was like, it seems like the first half, they got so many plays where it's waves they come at you. Like the first half is gadgets. You don't know what they're running. It's everybody flying everywhere, and they scheme usually 3 to 4 people open. Now, if you can minimize some of those to field goals, you could be in the game.
Yes.
But usually, those are touchdowns, and you're done.
Yep.
Then the second half is your adjustments. Then they say, well, okay, we just going to isolate our best players, and then you're like, oh, God, they're really good. And then if you're still in the fourth quarter, they got to make the plays and just go off schedule. So
which is why it works.
The creativity, it's like getting to the Boston Mario world. You gotta, you're gonna go through waves of little minions, and then you get to the boss, and you're like, man, they still got stuff in here.
And what's funny is I thought the same thing. When I was watching that, and they pulled the hook and ladder out, I'm like, that wasn't a do or die play in that game.
It's first week.
And you know damn well that they know that at the end of that game, they're gonna have situations that are do or die. Instead of saving those gadgets for those moments, they use them early, and the reason they use them early is because now they've planted a seed. Now that you better not overcommit, you better not, leave a trailer. You better not leave a guy open on a.
Kelsey tried to do it again.
I know.
Kelsey tried it the second time.
And
he looked for it the second
what's
time.
so smart about that is it's almost like Andy Reid saying, "Here's something for you to think about later in the game that you might see again, but you may not. But you're going to have to defend against it. You're going to have to change what you do in your base defense."
Jason, do you think Stefanski does that more conventionally on just the runs and maybe some of the less splash things like, okay, we're going to run this play, we're going to run the ball, but then I have tight ends open, or we have formations that you may not choose, you may think we're going to run. You think he does that, but just on a different level, is not as flashy as Andy Reid?
Oh, they do. Yeah, they have things that they run certain formations just to set up things later on. 100% that happens. And they've tried some of the gadget plays and they've been a disaster. Like Amari Cooper throwing the interception.
Which is why I'm a C- on them. Andy Reid's, they don't always work. The hook and ladder could have been a disaster, by the way.
Yeah.
I was surprised that the Bengals didn't challenge that play, that it was even a catch. Because he didn't make a football move.
Yeah,
and the ball wasn't in his hands
quick.
but a tenth of a second.
Yeah.
It literally was catch and pitch.
Yeah.
And I would have challenged that was an incomplete pass because he never made a football move, and I don't know that he completed the process of completing the catch.
I don't know what a catch is in the NFL
I don't
anymore,
either. I don't either.
yeah.
And the last one I wanted to mention, and this is the one I've got some stats on, consistency D-. You touched on my main point here. This team is good enough to play with anybody. Period. Full stop. And there is no debating that. And if you want evidence, just go to the October 31st Halloween game when they absolutely housed Cincinnati. I understand they were playing without their best receiver. We had our second-string quarterback. It was 32-13, I think was the final. Here's what I dug up. This was the first time they played their divisional rivals, and then the second time. Halloween night, they scored 32 against Cincinnati. Second time they played them, they scored 10. Checkmark Cincinnati on the adjustments. Pittsburgh, first time they played them, they scored 29. Second time they played them, 14. By the way, those were with Watson in game 2.
Jacoby in game 1.
Jacoby in game 1. Baltimore, 20 points in game 1, a 23-20 loss. 13 points in game 2, a 13-3 victory. Of course, Baltimore was playing with their dinged quarterback situation. What's stunning to me is, in each of those games, they went down 22 points, 15 points, and 7 points, second time around.
But the entire offense took a step back with Deshaun.
Which is, I
second
just
time
can't
around.
understand it. I can't explain it. You know, it's like, you know, a chemistry experiment goes bad when you put one piece into the puzzle that's superior to everybody. It was almost like the quandary we had with, well, why is Baker better when OBJ is on the field? This doesn't make sense. And we're in the same spot with the Kevin Stefanski offense. Why is this offense dramatically less productive with Deshaun Watson out there over Jacoby Brissett? I don't get that.
Remember Albert Breer, he was on there a couple days ago, and he said they want to get to this offseason where they want to do more things outside of structure. You know, in Clemson, Deshaun is one of those guys that he could do things outside of structure, and he's great with that. If you look at Odell Beckham Jr., what's the first thing people say? He's not going to run the exact same route every time. He's going to do some things outside of structure, but that's what gives you the big plays. We talked about, you know, some guys like Donovan Mitchell-Jones, guess what? He can get you to, like, turn around 5 yards, go downfield, catch the ball, get down. He can give you that, but can he give you that improv type game plan where he can move? Oh, I don't see it.
And Albert said that the Browns want to go more that way.
Yes.
I'd be for that.
That's absolutely true.
Could you imagine OBJ with a guy like Mahomes who finds guys when they're open? And, I mean, just think about it. Like, Baker clearly can't do that. Baker knows where all of his guys are supposed to be, and if you're not on that X, you're not getting the ball. And that was the problem with OBJ being the freelancer that he is. You've got to pair him with a quarterback who is A, mobile, so he can buy time, and B, goes through his progressions and finds the open guy. That's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if OBJ was to sign with Kansas City in this offseason.
I mean, Mahomes and Reed are so good. Even on the corner route, like Travis Kelce was just like, oh, you read the route for me? Cool. I'll just go ahead and sit down. And I will throw it short. Now, who knows? Now, Patrick Mahomes threw that, knowing good and well that was not the play.
No.
So what kind of trust?
But by the way, does anybody sell a route better than Kelce? Like, he sold that route so well. I don't blame the corner for biting on it. I thought that was the route he was running, and maybe it was the route he was running, and at the last second he said, you know what, no. He bit so hard on that, I'm just going to lay down here and be open.
And the problem is I've seen Deshaun Watson do all those things. I've seen him do all that, right? The question is, how do we get to a point where we can trust as fans that we're going to see that starting week 1 next year?
You have to go out and get the receiver capable of doing it because, to Albert's point, Deshaun, one of the things he's best at is freelancing. And, okay, this isn't there, but you have to have the receiver that sees that and reads that and breaks his route and heads for the end zone or just runs deep.
Is willing to break off a route and just get open.
And the Browns don't have that guy right now. You know, DPJ is very structured in terms of this is where I'm supposed to be.
And so is Cooper, really.
And Cooper just doesn't have the burst anymore.
Right.
But with DPJ, it's like this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where I'm going to be, and he's not really good at adjusting on the fly. They have to go find that guy.
Yeah, I think that could be the missing element because I'm fine with taking him off schedule and letting him do his thing.
Right.
Because I agree. At Clemson, That's what separated him from everybody else. But we haven't seen that in his brief time here in Cleveland, and we definitely saw it in his time in Houston. I don't know who that receiver is, but I guess that would be their number one offensive priority is to find that guy.
Yeah, I really, no one's told me this. I really think their second-round pick's going to be a receiver.
I'm moving that same way with Jason. I think before it was because you see what is alarming in the middle when somebody's gashing you in the middle, and now you get Schwartz. They might have told Jim, "Look, we brought you in because we think you got to retrain a couple of these dudes. We think you got to.
We think that the clay is here. Now mold it.
Yeah, mold it,
and
then we'll give you one guy. We'll try really hard to give you a guy that you can hang your hat on. But for me, to me, the most important position for this team is a receiver, because I'm looking around and there's no shot, there's no chance, because I think one of the things that even hurt the Cincinnati Bengals was Tyler Boyd going out. Tyler Boyd, the first 2 or 3 plays of that game, they had no answer for Tyler Boyd in the slot. Then you had Higgins, and then you still had Jamar Chase. See, sometimes, I know we're not used to it, but sometimes you got to have multiple guys to beat.
Guys that do different things.
Different things.
So you got your possession guy, you've got your hands guy, you've got your freelance route runner, you've got your, precision route runner. You should have one. It's like a golf bag. You got a club in your bag for every shot you're going to need. And I don't think the Browns have that in their wide receiver core. One thing, can we put those draftable guys back up? Smith and Jacobs not going to be available by the time they pick.
Well, those are just the Mike, you take 87, please. 87.
I mean, unless I'm just way off on
I agree. I think he's a first-round guy.
Yeah, I do too. I'd be stunned if he's not a first. Even without playing last year.
These were, so I went to PFF.
Yeah.
And they had their breakdown of ranges of where they could be picked.
Where did they have Smith and Jigba?
Anywhere from like 15 to 50.
If he slides to the Browns and they don't take him, I'm not a fan anymore.
All these guys.
I'm not kidding about
Adam
that.
the Bull, the soul of Adam the Bull is rising up.
Can you imagine? What would your reaction be if he slid to the Browns in the second round and they passed on Smith and Jigba?
There's no way he's sliding to the second.
That's wrong. I mean,
it'd be like if we had Aditi waiting in the queue and you decided to pull up a graphic instead of pulling I told you in the year we had
that is
Aditi.
egregious.
What's up, Aditi?
Mike, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was phenomenal.
Aditi never slips to the second round.
Sorry, I just had to make that point.
First round pick only.
In my own head, let's be honest. You know what? It's funny. That's what we did when we were announcing. Because the Super Bowl is back in Arizona, it was the Super Bowl in Arizona that Patriots-Seahawks won, where, of course, the ball should have been run instead of thrown, but it was thrown. And anyway, I was pregnant with my son, my first then, and that's the way that we announced that we were pregnant. We said announcing our very first, our number 1 overall draft pick, or our first draft pick.
That's kind of dope.
Something.
That's kind of dope.
That is really cool. Very creative.
Is he worth the max deal yet? He's getting the max deal?
Yeah.
He's on his second contract.
Right now, the kid needs to learn how to throw the ball away and live to see another down and know that the game isn't over until it's over, because Madden is making me crazy. He just got it. He just got his uncle's Xbox at Christmas, and he got his first thing of Madden. He is obsessed, except he whines and he whines and he whines. And if I could tell you how many times I've tried to explain to him, do you think that when Josh Allen throws an interception, he goes into the tank? No, he doesn't. He goes to the sideline, he calms down, and he comes back. But for some reason, the 7-year-old can't get that.
Yeah, I'm not sure 7-year-old Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or anybody got it. At 7 years old, the last play is the last play of your life. That's how it goes.
What's really funny is that last week my husband was playing him, and for whatever reason, my husband was the Panthers. This is actually a great story. My daughter, every time she's around, the 3-year-old, insists that my husband be the Browns because, as you know, she was born in Cleveland, and her brother has trained her to say that she is a Browns fan. And my poor Steelers fan husband is constantly playing the Browns and trying to win with the Browns. But anyway, last week, Matt plays with the Panthers, and he says to Nico, he goes, Nico, I'm about to introduce you to Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, my gosh.
First play, McCaffrey takes it like 90 yards to the house. And then we're watching the game this weekend, and McCaffrey had a really nice run. And I said to Nico, I'm like, see, that's the guy that Daddy said he was introducing you to. But the poor kid was really confused by the change in uniform. He's like, wait a minute.
He's a
Panther.
cheater. Your son, if you're listening to this, tell them to turn the internet on and get updated rosters.
Yeah,
Christian
why is he still on
McCaffrey is no
Carolina?
longer on the Carolina Panthers. That touchdown is illegal.
Gee, we can't do the internet thing. I don't want to play with like, random strangers and all that. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, keep it out of your house as long as
but
you
they still
can.
have the Matt Rule playbook, so it's kind of a wash.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mikey, what was that?
I said they may have McCaffrey, but they still have the Matt Rule playbook, so it's kind of a wash.
That is a wash.
it is.
And Baker's the quarterback.
Yeah. This is,
Yeah.
If Bull's not here, someone had to say it. Bull would have jumped. Bull would have chimed in.
F Baker!
Speaking
There
of
you
Bull,
go.
Aditi, I know you hopped in. We were doing our offensive report cards for the Browns. Bull's not here, but he still sent us in a report card. Do you want to grade Bull's report card?
Yes.
Of the Browns?
We can, but these guys were talking about something that I do want to get back to. So go ahead, let's start with Bull, and then we'll get back to
this
what
is Bull's, yeah.
Jason
No one has
did
seen
with
this
us.
yet. Aditi, you can grade Bull's report card. How do you think Bull did grading the Browns?
It's actually
it's hard to
frighteningly close
quibble,
to mine.
right? I think it's fair. I almost would, I mean, you play with who you have, so it's not like you can give an incomplete in any way.
Yeah.
It's almost identical to mine, which is very
I
scary.
thought it was close to
Yeah.
mine.
Bull and I never agree
I think
on.
it's fair. I think it's very fair. So you're not grading on a curve. You don't get bonus points for having a major change partway through the season, 2/3 of the way through the season. So, yeah, I mean, how could you look at that offense and say, oh, it was incredibly creative? Of course, that's the thing about creativity. When it works, it's creative. When it's not, it's ill-advised and stupid. But
we have the benefit of the
rushing attack
results. Yeah.
would have gotten a higher grade if it was more consistently used. I mean, how many times did they abandon the run? I'm thinking of that Christmas Eve game.
There you go.
Where third and short and fourth and short, and you're throwing instead of running. So, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. You keep keeping my face on the screen. You should put the, report card on the screen.
No, we want to see your face.
Aditi, we have substitute director Mike in, so this is his first interview with you. And, you're already
Mike, I don't
calling
like
out.
being on camera that much. I've got these qualms about that. There you go.
Now,
Wouldn't
You're
we
on
all rather
camera all
see
the
both
time.
faces?
You work for a TV station.
Now, Aditi,
Yeah, that is true.
we can
Although,
go to this, though.
what's so funny is you say that, Jason. I'm on camera doing game broadcasts, which are such a bigger deal than 1 p.m. on a Wednesday on a cable channel.
Yeah.
So many more people are watching you doing a game broadcast. But as the sideline reporter, your face is rarely shown.
Right.
You
Right
know,
about
like
that.
I'm on camera maybe 3 times.
Right.
It's usually just my voice, which is why I have gotten back to those voice lessons. Very, very key, those voice lessons, let me tell you.
Do you take now? Bull was asked this at the beginning of the season, and we told him not to jump off the roof with this, but he did. He said he would take the Browns for 3 years over the Steelers for 3 years. At the end of this year, would you take the Browns next 3 years or the Steelers next 3 years?
Oh, at the end. I thought you said that he said that at the start of the season.
Well, he did at the start, and we told him the Steelers never really are trash. He's like, the Steelers are done. They'll come
So
in
he's
last
already
place.
in a 2-game hole moving
Yeah.
forward for the next 2
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah.
So let's just do it for the next 2 years, Aditi. Are you taking the Steelers or the Browns for the next 2 years moving forward?
Oh, goodness, guys.
I know, that's tough.
Questions
I
on a
expect
Tuesday.
the defense. Well, here's the thing. I expect the defense to be significantly improved under Jim Schwartz. I think that he's exactly what that team needs in some ways. Andrew Berry is a guy that I believe in implicitly in terms of putting together a team and what he's doing. So I also expect to see significant improvement from Deshaun Watson when he gets a whole off season and a whole season and all of that time in. One of the things that I'll say about your commentary in there desperately being a need for a receiver in the middle of the field. No, you just need consistent guys. Like the best receivers can go all over the field. Antonio Brown could catch the ball on a post or a go. He could also do the dirty work in the middle. And when Antonio Brown was killing it, there was a year when Antonio was doubled and tripled and Juju was open and Juju caught every ball that still came his way. I'm using the Steelers, obviously, just because we were talking about them, but you need that. Jarvis Landry was a guy that was very, very reliable, very consistent. So it's not so much that you need a person, you need guys that you can count on. David Njoku, he did have a good year, but there were a couple balls late in the season where it was like, come on now. You're paid that kind of money to never drop a ball like that. Never. And I love the highlight catches. Of course, you love that one right there. But sometimes it's just about making the easy catch too. In any case, so let's go back to this. So the Browns, I don't think that they stay stagnant by any means. I think that they improve. The thing with the Steelers is that they have a very interesting situation at offensive coordinator on their hands. Mm-hmm. So it is very well known that the offensive coordinator was not particularly, I don't know what the right word is.
He wasn't popular.
Let's just say this. We know that players had gone to Mike Tomlin and to the general manager, Omar Khan, and requested some sort of change, that there wasn't a lot of creativity in what the offensive coordinator was doing. There isn't a huge track record of what he has been able to do. Despite all of that, because he has a year left on his contract, team president and owner Art Rooney decided to bring him back. How does that all play out next year? When the coordinator knows that players have gone and requested change, when the players have really when he's lost some players, how do you get them back? And what is the offense able to do? Do I expect Kenny Pickett to be better? Yes. We saw immense growth from Kenny Pickett. He's got a great quarterbacks coach. He's got a great private coach. He's got the entire makeup that you want. Does he have necessarily all the same natural skill that Deshaun Watson does? I don't know, but I like Kenny Pickett a lot. But what that offense can do, I'm not so sure. Because I think that creativity and that design really does matter in this day and age. And defensively, it took a while for the Steelers to get going. They can't, and yes, TJ Watt being hurt was a part of that, but they can't afford to do that again. I don't know. I also think the Ravens quarterback situation is really fascinating as well. So it's not like I'm ready to sit here and just anoint the Ravens automatically. Coming into this year, I did expect them to be at the top with the Bengals. I think that there's some interesting questions there as well. I'm not answering. I'm hedging. I'm sort of talking a lot. In your window into my brain.
See, I told you. I was waiting on it. I was waiting on the hedge.
I don't know. Do you feel like it's a snap decision? Like you can say right
Steelers.
now, oh yeah, the Browns will definitely be better.
I don't know how you ever go against the Steelers.
History.
Yeah.
History. It's not like we have like a 5-year body of history or a 10-year body of history or a 20-year body of history.
We have a 50-year.
Yeah, but Jay, that's
50-year
one
body
of the
of history.
Problems, guys. That's one of the main problems with the Steelers is that they sit here and they sit on their history, but really, what their history?
It's culture.
The last decade?
Aditi, we've talked about that. The culture kept them. Were the Browns better than them this year? I thought they were. I just did. I thought they were a better team.
You're right that the culture makes a huge difference. And we have seen this with a team like the Jaguars, who I know I talked about a few weeks ago. Culture does mean everything. And Mike Tomlin did not have to establish a culture.
No,
but I
there.
think that the standard, one of his favorite lines is the standard is the standard. The standard has gone from here to here. Okay, like middling is not, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, the standard is supposed to be competing for a Lombardi trophy. Having a winning record, like, okay, yeah, all right,
I know,
great.
but we're not comparing
right.
the Steelers to the Chiefs right now. We're comparing them to the Browns. Right. And where their standard may have gone from Lombardi to 500, the Browns can't
get their shoes on the right feet.
And here, and here, and here. And we have 1 year here, and then we're right back down here and here.
Look, but I've said this before, and I'll say it once again. This is why a guy like Jarvis Landry was so necessary to the ecosystem of that locker room.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
When you don't have an established culture of win at all costs, we are never out of it. This is so important. And not that I'm saying that it's not important to those players, but if you don't have that established identity, then you need that alpha in that locker room who just whips everybody's you-know-what.
Yes.
Yes. Although I think online we can say whatever we want to say, right? But anyway, you need that guy that says, I don't care if you're on half a leg, you get out there on that half a leg. I agree. And look, the Browns aren't the only team that had this trouble. Look at what Patrick Mahomes did 2 weeks ago with that high ankle sprain, yelling at his coach, we'll deal with it at halftime. No way I'm getting back in that game. Versus Lamar Jackson, whose own teammates called him out. Like Mike Vick called out Lamar Jackson and said, slap a brace on it and let's go. It's the playoffs. When you have a guy like Sammy Watkins saying to Lamar Jackson, we have a chance to make some noise, get back in there. And that's just not who Lamar is. That is who Patrick Mahomes is. Who on the Browns is like that? You need that person in there to push people, to see it's this or nothing. This is our one chance. This is the last time that this group is going to be together. This is the last opportunity we have, the one in front of us, because nothing else is guaranteed. And there just wasn't that guy.
Right. And
there isn't that guy.
But that's why the Steelers always have 3 of those guys.
Keep
5 of those guys. They recognize them, and when they recognize them, guess what? They don't let them get away for less money.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
the Browns historically have. And you use Jarvis Landry. There are other examples through the years of guys that they absolutely should have kept, even if they're on the downside of their cycle and they're getting older and less productive. I don't care. For what Jarvis Landry ended up signing for with the Saints for, and I understand that he was hurt, but even if he's hurt, he's still a presence in that locker room. He's still a presence at training camp. He's still helping drill the mindset into these young Perry on Winfreys.
Yes. You're teaching professionalism. You're teaching how you go about doing your job. And let's not everybody who's old, sometimes you lose a little on your fastball, but you figure out other ways to get guys out. And as you talk about the Steelers, it makes me think of James Harrison, who ultimately did work his way out of Pittsburgh and whatever. But prior to that, James Harrison was most definitely past his prime when the Steelers are playing a playoff game in Kansas City. And it was just as tough sledding as could be. They couldn't punch it in the end zone. Le'Veon Bell ran for crazy. It was all these field goals, whatever. But it comes down to the very end of the game. James Harrison does not have the speed. He does not have the moves. He does not have the brute force he once did. But he is wily enough this many years into his career that he goads Eric Fisher, the Chiefs' left tackle, into an unbelievably dumb penalty that wins the Steelers the game. And sometimes that's what you need. It's like watching Pedro Martinez at the end of his career with the Mets. He couldn't throw the same fastball, but he was still striking guys out. And not only that, Pedro was that personality in that clubhouse. He was that guy that rallied that team, that took on Mike Lupica once. I mean, like, this is all... you need a guy like that. And when you're the Browns, you even more need a guy like that. Because to your point, Jay, there is no established culture of playoffs or bust. In fact, it's sometimes the opposite.
You realize you just made my point of why I picked the Steelers, though. I mean, that's why.
So, like the Steelers the next
when all
years.
when all things are equal,
Like the Steelers.
I'm just going to go with the team that has the better track record. If I'm betting ponies, and I've got one pony that's always in the top 3, and I've got another one that's never in the top 3, that's the easiest betting slip I'll ever fill out. I'm just going to bet on history. And in this case, unfortunately, the history is on the wrong side for the Browns. It's on the right side for the Steelers. I did actually think when Bull sat there, when they were 4-8 or whatever they were, and Bull was yelling and screaming that the Steelers, finally, are you going to admit now that I was right, Aditi? They're finally going to finish below 500. And I actually thought, you know what?
He might got this
I've
one.
been on the other side for the entire time, but he might finally, look, a broke clock is right twice a day. Yeah. And so if you predict it enough years in a row, you're going to finally get it right. And I thought when he made that prediction, I'm like, I don't see how they finish 9-8 this year. Well, I'll be damned. They finished 9-8. You know why? Because they got those dogs in the locker room. They've got that culture in the trophy case. And that's why the Browns finished 7-10. And that's why the Steelers, who I don't think had the talent the Browns did, finished 9-8.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I've said it before. On Sundays, TJ Watt is the scariest person. You do not want to disappoint him. If he's your teammate, you do not want him on your tail. You do not want him upset with you, and you most definitely don't want to disappoint him. As great of a player as Myles Garrett is, Myles Garrett just doesn't inspire that same, I hate to call it fear, but lack of a better word, that same drive. He's just not that same guy. So get somebody else who is. Doesn't always have to be your best player.
I agree.
Can I hijack this for a second and go completely off topic since it's January and we have nothing else to talk about? When you talk about the Ravens, this came up last week, and I don't know if it's the day we had you on or not, and Brad brought up like a Dak for Lamar Jackson type trade between Dallas and Baltimore, and we kind of had some fun with it. But I got to thinking about it and sort of was talking through it. I wonder if do you think Baltimore, it's specific to Lamar, or if they have the mindset that they don't want to invest that heavily in a quarterback? Because I said they would never do that trade because if they wanted to pay Dak that much, they would just give it to Lamar. So are we ever going to get to a point, I guess maybe what I'm getting at, and this could be really stupid, and if it is, tell me, where teams say, we can't have one player taking up that much cap space, even if it's a quarterback, because all these teams going to Super Bowls are doing it with quarterbacks on rookie scale contracts?
Yeah, it is a very interesting point, right? And we did talk about this last week, actually, Jason, when we were talking about the Bengals. And I was like, look, they are in a moment where they've got all these guys on rookie deals, and that's not going to last forever. But the Ravens, let me just say this. I don't think it has anything to do with not being willing to pay a quarterback. They paid Joe Flacco. And I know for a fact they were ready to pay Lamar Jackson. He's just incredibly difficult to negotiate with because he doesn't have an agent. It's negotiating with him. And there is this issue of the guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson was given, and certain people feeling like, well, if Deshaun Watson gets that much guaranteed money, my entire contract should be guaranteed as well. And there is some fear in that when you look at a guy like Russell Wilson, who just completely fell off the cliff, when you look at Lamar Jackson, who hasn't been able to stay healthy. And so it's not at all about not wanting to pay him. And I absolutely believe that teams recognize the single most important player is the quarterback, and he does need to take an outsized share of your cap, and that the difference in getting to the next level versus not is how elite your quarterback is and how much your quarterback inspires and gets others around him to play better. That is worth paying for. I don't think that is it. And I also, where you're right, Jason, that teams are willing to let a veteran receiver go, perhaps, because they know that there's so much wide receiver talent in the college game that is very ready to come and adjust on this level. I don't think that there's as much confidence when it comes to the quarterbacks that this guy will definitely, absolutely be a success on the NFL level.
It's hard because
even
go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, even for instance, I know that I was there when Josh Allen was drafted. And I've had many, many, many conversations with Brandon Breen prior to his drafting, after his drafting, and in the 5 or 6 whatever years it has been since. I know that he loved Josh Allen. There's no way that he would sit here and say, oh, I 100% knew that he was going to be a perennial Pro Bowler and an MVP candidate. You just never know. You really don't.
It's hard. Like, look at the Colts have been chasing a quarterback for years. And when you have one, you do everything you can. You have to hold on to him. Obviously, the Browns have been fruitless for 20 years in trying to find one. But where's the line in how much? I mean, we're going to find it out in Cleveland when Deshaun starts taking up $55 million on the cap. At what point is it too much that I don't know. I can't be contradictory because I'm the one that said if you have the quarterback, you always have a chance.
Fair. It's not stupid
at all.
But
you know
because
what? You just
3
said
of the
something
4
really
quarterbacks in the conference championship game were on rookie deals.
Yeah, but
teams.
You know what, Jay? Really quickly, Jason, you said something very, very interesting. You said, Jason, that the Browns have never found one. Maybe part of it is that they have never developed one either. Because I know Brandon Beane liked Baker Mayfield too. Is Baker Mayfield a different quarterback today if he doesn't have 4 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators in his time in Cleveland, whatever that number is?
Yeah.
But we know that David Carr is a different quarterback if he doesn't play behind that line. Are Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen different guys if they are in different clubs, if they go into stability, if they go into good coaching? So for the Browns, it's not only about finding them, because Baker was indeed extremely liked by a lot of teams and had a lot of tools. But there is no way that you can say the Browns set him up for success by the complete lack of consistency and development that they gave him. Complete lack of offense. Deshaun Kaiser was a very talented young man. I know he wasn't a high draft pick, but you think Hugh Jackson putting him in and pulling him out, putting him in, pulling him out, you think that is good for a rookie quarterback?
I mean, he was a second-round pick. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
And look at where Jalen Hurts is when he has consistency for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
This is the first time that Jalen Hurts has had the same offensive coordinator for 2 years running since he was in high school and his father was his coach.
Well,
wow.
Baker's never
Shane
had that.
Steichen, and I've used this example with you because Nick Sirianni, who is going to the Super Bowl in year 2, Nick Sirianni last year as a first-year head coach at some point in the middle of the season said, you know what, I need to coach the whole team. And he gave up the play calling duties to Shane Steichen. Now, Shane Steichen consistently has been Jalen's guy. Last year, all of this year, and look at how Jalen Hurts has blossomed.
Yeah, consistency.
I mean, look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talk about Deshaun Watson's contract. Is Joe Burrow the realistic person that could potentially push to get the fully guaranteed deal?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yes.
I don't think it's Lamar Jackson. I think it's him.
I don't think Joe Burrow. Look, I don't think Joe Burrow is going to sign. And this is just like whatever. I'm saying this right now, and this is what I feel. I don't think he's signing a 10-year mega guaranteed contract. I think he's signing a shorter guaranteed contract because he knows the way quarterback salaries are skyrocketing. He's betting on himself, and he's thinking, okay, well, if this is what the quarterback, if the number is 50 million right now, well, in 4 years, it might be 75 million. So if I sign for the 50 million a year right now, it's entirely guaranteed. I'm set for life. My kids are set for life. My grandkids are set for life. And 4 years from now, I'll be worth even more, as opposed to being locked into a deal for 10 years.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, I mean, I think the long term for a quarterback is always shaky because that position historically has skyrocketed more than any other.
Burrow is the most fascinating one to me of all of these young
Me
quarterbacks
too.
that we're talking about.
Because he has the skill set.
Well, not only that, he
you
has
bank on.
he has the talent around him that they're not going to be able to keep if he signs the type of deal that we're talking about. Is he willing to take $10 million less
like Brady did
to keep all of these receivers? Yeah. I mean, I'm as
I
capitalistic
also
as
think
they come. Get every dollar you can. But at the same time, it may end up costing you Jamar Chase, or it may end up costing you T. Higgins.
Right.
Which would you rather?
Which was a calculation that Josh Allen made a year ago, recognizing, okay, I am going to get what's fair to me, but I need to make sure that I have enough tools around me. And he didn't this past year. He needed a number. He needed a number two receiver.
Another one. He needed another one.
No disrespect to Gabe Davis, but he needed something more beyond Stephon Diggs. They needed to be able to run the ball better. I will say this about Joe Burrow. He has a very, very smart agent. His agent, Brian Ayral, he's like the Jerry Maguire. He only has the best. You know, he's got Aaron Donald. He's got Joe Burrow. This is not like a Drew Rosenhaus who has 1,000 clients and everybody gets only a little piece of him. So this is going to most certainly be a very, very interesting negotiation, I would say that. I do think that Joe Burrow cares about winning more than he does anything else. I do think that Joe Burrow is very, very smart. And I think that there is a piece of him that knows and recognizes the way Tom Brady made it work and how much money Tom Brady made off the field. And Joe Burrow certainly, I'm sure, Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, Joe this, his fashion, the way that he takes what he wears to the stadium. He knows that he can make more money. And the best way to make money, to be desired as a pitchman, is by winning. To win, you need pieces like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and a great run game around you.
It's the Brady model.
Again, let's see.
And that's how you win 7. You might win 1, you might win 2, maybe 3.
And now because
but
he
if
took
you
less,
get greedy, you're going to cap out at 3 because
right.
your team is hamstrung. There's not enough dollars to spread around. Aditi, great points. Always great conversation. Thanks for showing us your face for as long as you did on this episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Have fun.
Get them Madden rosters together, man. I don't want to hear you coming back here and talking about your husband.
You know how you fix that? You hook it up to Wi-Fi, do the update, and then you disconnect it.
Then you disconnected that from Wi-Fi. It's not Big Brother. They don't just pull up and just jump in your PlayStation.
Yeah, once you attach to Wi-Fi, you can disconnect it.
Yeah,
they can't get in the house.
That's not a thing.
Once you disconnect it. I know all the parent tricks. I've been there.
She like my mom. She be thinking that you turn it off. You need to give it a rest. I said, Mom, this is a machine, an electronic work of art. This thing can run for thousands of hours. What do you mean give it a rest? Yeah.
What she was saying is give your mind.
Give you a rest.
That's a fascinating conversation. One I'm sure we're going to have a lot this offseason. I think ultimately, it's just a knee-jerk reaction, but that's what we do. I think ultimately the Bengals will franchise Burrow for 2 years, and he will leave Cincinnati. Because what is their history? What is their history?
Well, hold on, you shook your head. Y'all been talking about this off air? What's going on with this?
And I'll tell you, I'm not alone in that thinking. What I'm doing is I'm calculating into this thinking.
Okay.
What the Bengals are and what they have done historically.
No, they paid Carson Palmer.
They did. They paid Carson Palmer, and what happened?
He stayed and then left.
No,
Eventually
he didn't.
left.
Almost immediately, he wasn't happy and he wanted out. And then do you remember, because Carson Palmer was independently wealthy, Carson Palmer pulled this trick. Fine. You're not going to trade me? I quit.
He did sit down for 2 years. But here's the thing. I think Joe Burrow's from there,
though. The one time the Bengals, one year they drafted Dan Wilkinson, #1 out of Ohio State. Yeah. Why? Well, because they knew they weren't going to have to pay him #1 quarterback money.
Yeah.
Because there were quarterbacks in that draft that could have helped their team. But instead, they went with Dan. They notoriously take the cheap way out. And guys, this is going to be the new standard in the league. His contract will be the richest, probably most guaranteed contract, maybe even more guaranteed dollars than Watson. And what the reason I just say that it's not a mix, if I was to tell you, take any player out of the discussion, if I was to tell you that 3 years from now, there will be a new team that breaks the record for the all-time richest contract in the NFL, rank them 1 to 32, who those teams are most likely to be, number 32 would be the Bengals. That's their history.
Well, here's the thing. Joe Burrow is from there, damn near. He's from
He's from Southern Ohio.
Yeah, see, it's almost like his story is too big. He's lovable.
There's nothing wrong with him.
If Joe Burrow,
except for his price tag.
If Joe Burrow, if they did not pay him, I don't know how the Bengals as an organization come back from that. They have to almost sell.
It's a bold take, but that's my prediction. I just think they'll franchise him for the 2 years, and then he'll hit the open market because she's right. His agent is very, very smart. And I think Joe would take a hometown discount, but I think the kind of numbers that we're talking about with Joe Burrow, I just think they're going to be numbers that we haven't seen before. Well, am I off on any of this, Jay?
I don't think he's going to surpass Mahomes, and maybe I'm wrong. Wow. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm
right
in the
now,
minority on that.
Right now, you can take Mahomes or Burrow.
Mahomes.
Even with the advanced age. He's older, right?
No, I take
He's
Mahomes.
1 year older.
It's Mahomes, and then it's everybody else.
Hey, Mahomes, I was going to ask Aditi, to me, Mahomes has reasserted himself. He hasn't really gone anywhere. He's just saying, he just really told you.
There were people that when Hill left wanted to kick dirt on him and say, oh, they're done. Their offense is trash now.
No, he's the.
But I think Joe Burrow is, I think they're different quarterbacks. They do different things. But to me, I think they're one and one A. I just think there's a sliver that is between them right now.
Now, as far as breaking the bank, I do think he'll get the richest contract ever. I don't know how the Cincinnati Bengals pay it. I don't know. I think their owners only do that. I don't know if they got any other businesses anywhere. I think they just do football. It's hard for you just doing football.
The Browns remind me of the Dolans. They just do. They're not independently wealthy
Bengals?
outside.
You said Browns.
Yeah,
Bengals?
The Brown family.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
sorry.
Got you.
The Brown family.
Yeah.
They have operated the Bengals much the way the Guardians are operated by the Dolans. They don't have this Steinbrenner slush fund that they just reach into and say, here's $300 million.
Yeah.
The money that they spend on players is money that they're generating from that season's revenue.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't have these coffers like some owners do.
The difference to me is in baseball, the television contracts are terrible, and they rely on the local TV market deal, and the Guardians don't have a great deal.
Exactly.
Whereas the NFL and
You're
NBA
right.
are printing
the profit
money.
sharing is
There's
much.
no reason for NFL teams to skimp as much as they do because and the NBA is the same way, which I want to get to that. It's later on in the Cavs. I was ready to jump through the screen yesterday on a couple times. Listening to you guys yesterday.
Oh, that was great. We bring that back.
But to me, there's no reason in the NFL every team is printing money because of the TV deals and everything else. The Bengals can afford to pay them. They should.
I think they can afford to pay them. It's just going to cut into their profit. That's it. And I don't know that they're prepared to do that because, to your point, That's their source of income.
Hey, I don't know if they can pay. I don't know if they can pay Jamar Chase though.
Well,
Jamar Chase is. Jamar Chase don't look like a Cincinnati boy to me.
The good news for the Browns is that triumvirate is not staying together.
Yeah.
It defies all
fair.
economic models in the NFL. It's just not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the good news for the Browns is at some point, one by one, these talented players are going to be siphoned off.
Yeah.
Whether or not. Now, that means that if you have Joe Burrow, you have receivers like Anthony Schwartz. And you have receivers like, fill in the blank, D-list receivers.
I think
because that's what you can afford.
I'm not sure Anthony Schwartz is an NFL receiver, but I think
No, he's not.
DPJ is probably a more apt. That's who he's going to be throwing to
Yeah.
when these guys phase out of their rookie.
And right
level
now,
deals.
Burrow is Burrow because he's throwing to, in my view, the best receiver in the league.
I mean, he made a couple plays Sunday. He just threw
That
it up
was-
in the
that
double
was-
coverage.
that was-
And said,
that
go
was-
get it. Go
And he
get it,
did.
big fella.
The
And he
guy's
did.
incredible.
Yep.
He is absolutely incredible.
Mikey, what do you got?
Couple things. One word answer from each of you on this.
Yeah.
More likely that Burrow breaks Watson's guaranteed money record or Mahomes' total overall contract
Both.
record? Both.
Both.
G?
I am told the numbers are going to make everybody's head spin.
I actually think he's gonna get. He might get both. He might get both.
Jason?
What's Mahomes 450?
500.
It was 500.
10 for 5. Or 500.
I'll say Watson.
Okay. Couple things real quick before we get into top 5 and we transition. We got a BetJack read. So we're going to put BetJack up and remind you guys that BetJack is officially the gambling sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It is now live in Ohio. For all your gambling needs, head over to BetJack. It's the right place to go.
It's the
It's the best one. And the sports,
have you been there yet?
It's on my list, but I had people go this weekend tell me it was an awesome experience. You
Same.
got to go to BetJack.
I
Gotta
had
check it out.
friends that went and they frequent Vegas regularly, and they said they were prepared to go there and be let down, but they wanted to be at a sports book for Champions weekend. They said that it absolutely blew them away.
Wow.
That the feel was big time Vegas casino feel. The action was great. The mood was great. It was a great place to watch football games and make your wagers in a book.
You ever want to go somewhere where you feel the tension in the room? Go to a sports book
it's
in
fun.
conference championship.
Yeah, especially in the last 2 minutes.
Oh, they'd be living and dying. It'd be people in there living and dying.
I went to Vegas for the opening weekend of March Madness a couple years ago. It was fascinating to watch people.
That
sitting
is
in
the best time
Caesars.
to be in Vegas.
Caesars Sportsbook, people sitting in there living and dying on every play.
By themselves, solo, dolo.
And I also went to like the sketch place across from the plasma selling. I went to that casino. It was just night, and I wish I remember the name of it. It's just a Jerry's Nugget, I think, or something like that. And you got the guys in there betting 10-team parlays for $5 trying to win 1,000, and it was
just in there,
Different clientele.
different clientele.
For sure.
We got 2 more things before we get to our contentious top 5 here.
All
Just
right.
a reminder, 1 week from tomorrow, it is our comedy special. I shot a promo with Polk that should be coming out later this week.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
I don't know
crazy.
what he has planned in his head. It actually terrified me, some of the stuff he asked me to do, so we're going to see when that comes out.
I promise you it'll be funny.
Polk's involved. It'll probably be funny. Polk's also involved in this, so if Anthony and I aren't funny, you will at least get some laughs in that. And then lastly, just one more reminder, guys, that Friday is our Viewers' Choice Show. DM me topics on Twitter. You got to follow me. Shoot me a DM.
Have you got any yet?
We got like 50 yesterday. Also, shout out to superfan Gabby who sent 10 different topics for us. I promise you, Gabby, we're not going to do all 10 of yours. We might do one. Some of these are very, very outrageous. But
And shout out.
you know what?
That's a loose promise. I promise we might do one.
Yeah,
By
I
the
know.
way, you missed.
I promise we're not going to do all 10, but we might do one.
We might
Bush-
do one. Hey, listen,
G.
Gabby,
Bush-
step your game up. We might get one in there.
G. Bush never forgets the fans. No matter where we are. We had a fan from India. Is that correct? A fan from India yesterday hit us up for a super chat. What's the name of this fan?
Oh yeah, this is very. Gee, thank you for bringing this up. Let me pull this up here real quick. We had this is from Rahul Ganesh. This is probably the coolest super chat we ever got. He says, "Cheers, guys. Love from India. Cleveland sports fan. We started a community of Browns fans in Delhi. We are 20 of us, hoping to reach 200 by the end of 2023.
That's
Wow.
insane.
So UCSS worldwide.
Look, there's a
essentially.
billion potential viewers there, guys.
A billion.
Raul is in charge of getting us over that 50,000 subscriber
Right.
mark. That's like just
Well, if he does, we'll
fraction
do
of
an
people.
Indian-themed show. We'll bring in Indian food. We might even do a live shot with him, live from India.
Yeah, you know what? We will get Rahul on the show if he can get us to a 500-person New Delhi, but they all have to subscribe. They all have to be subscribers. To
Okay.
Ultimate
And we
Sports
can
Show.
have Aditi do all her takes in Indian, right? You think she would do that?
I think she might be open
She might
to
be
that.
able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Right?
All right, so you guys ready for a contentious top 5 now that we got that out the way?
One
And-
question that I wanted
Yes.
to ask yesterday and I forgot. Are you going to do a practice set where you run through your material start to finish in
Before?
front of a focus group or friends or anything?
So G got my closing joke last week.
Yeah, but that's piecemealing it. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I
because there's
will.
a flow that you'll have to get, timing, when
Yeah.
you move on, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I
it's-
recommend doing that.
I will. The first time we go on stage will not be the first time.
Okay, good, good.
I'm also working on some crowd work stuff because I know it's gonna be a rowdy crowd. So, we got it all covered. And Jay and G and Bull, if Bull's healthy by then, will all be involved a little bit too. I got to talk to you after the show about your guys' involvement. Hopefully, you'll be introducers for the guests if you guys are cool with that. So,
Whatever you need.
with that being said, you guys ready for a contentious,
Yeah.
potentially contentious top 5?
Potentially contentious.
The top 5 is back.
We brought it back to the Ultimate 5. This is based off what happened this weekend in the Cincinnati-Kansas City game. The late hit on the quarterback, the demoralizing play from Joseph Asai.
Right.
It literally stabbed Bull in the heart. It drained his soul. We know that's not why he's not here, but let's be honest. If the Bengals had won, Bull might be a little more
It might
incentivized
have weakened
to
his
come
immune
back.
system. That might be why he's
It
getting
might
all
be.
these other, things.
He was
So that got
definitely
me thinking. What are the most demoralizing penalties for an NFL fan to endure throughout a game? I came up with 11.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my honorable
Now, were
mentions
these
first.
specific penalties?
No, this is situational.
See, I misread it. I
Specific
thought
and situational.
Yeah, I thought you
That's
were
what I
talking
thought. I thought like historical plays
historically.
and
Like,
games.
I mean,
Nah.
that would have been a much, much, much better.
So we can do that. We can do that at some point.
Number 5, holding.
But it's specific. It's specific. So these are the honorable mentions. Listen, I went over. G. Bush was here yesterday. G. Bush had no qualms
All
about
right.
this yesterday.
I did all this research. I've got the most demoralizing penalty that I could think of in my lifetime.
Well, we know what yours is going to be.
You do?
It's going to be the Browns in 2002, the helmet toss.
Wrong.
Okay, well then we'll get to it. But here's the honorable mention of penalties that will just kill a fan. Honorable mentions: illegal touching on a receiver to negate a touchdown. When he puts half a heel on the back line,
hurts.
steps back in, you think he got 6, and the ref then shows the slow-mo, and just that one cleat hits the white. No good.
That hurts, cause it kind of hurts. It was a play like this where the guy came back in and touched the ball with inside the 10-yard
No,
line.
the Browns lost a reception this year on either third
Yep.
or fourth down because
Amari Cooper.
I think it might have been Cooper or DPJ went out of bounds
Cooper.
and then came back in and was
Came
the
back
first
in.
to touch it.
That one hurts.
Yeah, it hurts. It sucks.
Number 2 on demoralizing. Honorable mentions. A delay of game in a crucial third or fourth down situation. When it's third and 2 and you see the play clock running down and you're yelling at your TV, snap the damn ball, snap the ball, snap the ball, and the quarterback's looking around all frantically. The coach is running down. Andy Reid's
Josh
waddling
Johnson
down.
took 3 of those in 7 snaps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
And that's what I'm saying. Okay, Steve Young, are you in the building?
Yeah. Okay, next one on
hurts.
the honorable mentions. When a defensive tackle, specifically a defensive tackle, who you bring in solely to stop a QB sneak, jumps off sides on an obvious 4th and 1 when you know the hard
Yeah.
count's coming.
What is the call for that? Statue. We used to call it statue defense. No one moves. But there's other terms that other teams use.
It's like we used to call it like.
Don't be an idiot.
One of the terms for it was something like that.
Yeah.
Something like,
Well, we used to call
dumbass defense or
we used to
something.
we used to call it Peter. Peter, like I don't know why it's Peter. Like they're like, look, but just don't. Well, I know why, but I can't say why.
Just hold.
Yeah,
just hold everything.
Yeah, right. Just be cool.
Don't move.
But that is demoralizing, especially when
it
you
is.
know what it is. Like, come
Yeah.
on, stop.
Okay, next. When you have a great punt return and someone on the opposite side of the field touches someone in the back, they flop, and it's a legal block in the back that negates a 35-yard punt return.
Yeah.
That one hurts.
Those hurt.
Like you can't. Like I always ask myself, like, bro, you're away from the ball. I know you feel like the coach gonna bring this up in film and say you was hustling. And look at this block over here. You guys need to all be. No, you cost your team 15 more yards, and where's Waldo? I hate those plays.
I know, it's tough.
No. Okay, we got 2 more honorable mentions.
What?
I told you there were so many demoralizing penalties. Okay, I'll do these ones quick. When there's an illegal man downfield on a great screen pass, that one sucks. And then when there's a flag on a play when the other team scores, and you're like, oh, good, it's coming back, and they pick up the flag. So the fake flag is demoralizing.
That might be number one. I ain't thinking about that.
Yeah, when they all get together and talk, one official saw it, but the other ones didn't. Now it's not a penalty?
There's no, that was an inadvertent whistle and flag on that play. No, that's 2 things. You cheated me. That's cheating.
If one ref sees something, grabs the flag, and throws it, there's no mulligan on that.
Yeah, like,
that's a flag.
Call something. I don't care what you call
Yeah,
it.
you saw something. Don't let someone talk you out of what
your
you
boy,
saw.
Your boy said you didn't really see that, dog, did you?
Yeah, hey, you know we took the under on that.
Are you guys ready for the actual 5 now?
Yes.
The 5 most demoralizing penalties
You're right.
you can
This is
suffer.
very contentious right now.
Yeah, okay. Number 5. A specific kind of unnecessary roughness, especially one where
Damn,
the
that guy got
defense.
hit with no helmet.
He's
Yeah,
dead.
it's a great picture. When the defense does something
no longer
first.
with us.
He's dead.
That's Teddy Bridgewater, by the way. Do you remember that play?
It is Teddy
That
Bridgewater.
is Teddy B.
He's had
But this is the penalty when either side, the opponent does something first, and they throw the flag, and the offensive lineman comes
It's always the
25
second guy
yards
in,
downfield
yeah.
to negate the play. It offsets and then just
Yeah.
redo the down. And no matter what happened, usually your quarterback gets hurt, someone gets injured. You're like, okay, at least there's a first down on this.
Yeah.
But no, Bozo Johnny Jones or whatever runs down, tackles him, and it offsets. No
Yeah.
gain, no foul. Offsetting penalties.
Oh, that
kills
hurts.
you.
That hurt. The offsetting penalties hurt.
Yeah, I know it does.
Like, oh, and you lost your quarterback? Yeah, that guy's dead.
Especially when it's 3rd and long, and now you're giving them another chance.
Oh.
You know, they didn't get it. Now they've got another
And
chance.
especially, and it's always the Chiefs. Like, good God, the Chiefs got another
Yeah,
chance.
you're going to give them 5 downs?
Good, yeah, that's
We haven't even talked about the play where the ref
We'll
came
get to
in and
that.
blew the whistle.
Oh, Lord, they get another.
Which, by the way, I know nobody liked it, but everybody was screaming about
It was
that
the right
call.
play. It was the right call.
They made the
Right
right
call.
call. The
Yeah.
clock was wrong. The referee blew the whistle before the ball was snapped, and he's going like this. Now, nobody heard it,
Yeah.
and everybody didn't like the play, and everybody thought, oh, the refs are against the Bengals. No, that was the right play.
Yeah. Okay, before we get to number 4, Superfan Gabby just DM'd another one in and said the first one was, here's all my questions. So it was only 9 questions, 10 DMs. So my bad, Superfan Gabby.
Okay.
We'll get at least one of the 9 in potentially, maybe. Don't hold me to that. Number 4. This is the G. Bush special.
Yeah.
Anytime you rough the kicker.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I
is
hate that.
absolutely no reason.
unacceptable.
I'm going to
I
steal
hate
G.
that.
Bush's line.
Take it.
Unless you play at Virginia Tech, don't go anywhere near the kicker.
You're not blocking
You're
the
not
ball.
Frank
blocking
Beamer's your
that.
coach. Stay the hell away.
You're not blocking any of that. Like, it's fool's gold. I think they line up even shorter just so your little body can line up right up underneath the legs of the punter. Like, when you lay out there, like, oh, yeah, he's about 6
It's
foot.
a trap.
It's a trap. Face card. It's
Yep.
a trap card face down. You're walking into a dark magician face down trap. He put it down to take your life points away, and he's going to be able to bring a guard, one of his trolls from the graveyard and take your life points. Why are you by this man's legs? You're not blocking that.
And punters have gotten so good at selling it. If you get within 5 yards, when they look like they got shot in the back.
Oh, it's just
They
insane.
practice the pose Jason has right now. You see that pose?
They're kickers, and they watch soccer.
They roll around and it's
Spin around,
and you
hold their neck,
and you know it's
come out the next time with
Grab
a
their
neck brace.
Oh, and you see it as soon as it happens, and you see their little body roll around. You see that ref be like, he already has it in his hand, like, yeah, I knew.
And then they show the slow motion, and it's like he got nicked in the hip by a hand. And but the aftermath looks like he got T-boned going 90.
He hit his plant. He hit his plant foot, Jay.
Yeah.
He can't touch his plant foot. It's
Unbelievable.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, that one hurts.
I thought that would have been higher. I got 2 in mind. That was one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that in mind too.
Okay, before you take this next picture, sometimes Anthony does stuff that's just devious, and I don't know if he even intentionally deviously did this for the next one, but I'm glad Bull's not here for this picture. Okay, let me paint you a picture in your head. It's 3rd and long. The Bengals are on offense. The Browns are on defense. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins and you hold Hayden Hurst on 3rd and 19 on a backside 2-yard fake route, you can take it, Mike. Defensive holding to give an automatic first down on a play. They throw it out of bounds. I don't think Anthony did this on purpose. I don't think he even knows what he did with this picture. He's glad Bull's not here, I'll tell you.
Well, that's a famous one, though.
That's crazy.
That's a famous one. But defensive holding on 3rd and long on an incomplete pass that automatically gives a first down.
And by the way, they need if anything needs to be stripped of automatic first downness, it needs to be defensive holding.
Yeah, it should be a 5-yard from the line.
From the line.
I agree.
You can either go for it or you can't. What do you want to do with it? But we're not going to give you if it's 3rd and 17 and it's a 5-yard hold, you telling me
on a 9-yard route.
On a 9, like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's awfully punitive. No, I don't like it.
I don't like it. It's terrible.
Do you prefer the college pass interference penalty or the NFL the spot of the foul?
Give me the college. Yeah. Do you understand how much gymnastics you got to go through in your mind to say that was an automatic touchdown?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're giving them.
Yeah, you are.
If it's a spot foul, you saying he was going to come down with that, he was going to pivot, and this is going to be 7.
And some of those balls are a lot more catchable than others.
I like the college one better, but I think you're going to see guys grabbing a lot more downfield if you move to that. Because
on those
they know it's only
50-yard throws,
right.
I'm going to tackle my guy, and it's only going to be a 15-yard catch. And that's probably why the NFL does it the way they do.
Would you put a limit on it? Like, listen, if it's past 15 yards, we'll give you a spot foul up to 50 yards.
Well, I mean, very few balls are thrown more than 50 yards downfield. It does happen, but rarely.
Yeah, rarely. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. If you had 50 yards and you really went for a ball
maybe
up top.
Maybe you split the difference between the spot and the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So if it was at 28 yards down the field, it's a 14-yard penalty. If it was 50 yards down the field, it's a 25-yard penalty.
I'll take that, but the spot, like, you got to think about it. In the game, if you hold somebody or you get caught up or tangled up with somebody at the goal line, that's the game.
Well, that's actually my most punitive one. I was thinking running into kicker and pass interference at the goal line are the two most crippling
the Ohio
calls.
State-Miami play where the late flag came in when Ohio State beat them for the 2001 or
2002.
So late, and talk to any Miami fan to this day, they'll insist it was not pass interference.
Yeah. It was something. It was either holding or interference.
Yeah. But you always see this. Well, you're not going to call that at the end of the game. Wait, I'm going through the rule book, and I don't see where this is pass interference.
You can't call
unless there's 20 seconds left and it's in the goal line and you're down by 5.
Ask the defensive tackle for Cincinnati how he feel about not calling something at the end of the game.
Terry Porter was the Big 12 official who threw that flag, and he has never done a media interview to talk about it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Let's get him on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Get him on.
We were going to do we were kicking around the idea of doing an oral history on the Ohio State-Miami game. Zach Meisel and I were going to do it. And I wanted to I got his number.
I refused to do it?
Well, I didn't even reach out because we didn't get that far down the path. But he's been
Can we take that idea and run with it here? We'll do a whole 2-hour show with him.
He's been approached multiple
Maurice
times.
Clarett on.
Yeah. I think he's retired now.
That Miami team was one of the best teams I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was unreal.
That is the best, and for my money, the best college football game ever played.
I 1,000% agree with you. I've had that argument with fans who aren't Ohio State fans. They call it a homer argument. I'm like, no.
No.
I mean, now I will say the Texas
USC.
the Texas USC is real close. To me.
Ohio State was, and I'm not even an Ohio State fan. I'm not an Ohio State fan.
You're not an Ohio State fan? I didn't know
He's
that.
an Ohio State hater.
I'm not a hater.
I think he covered them for so long, you have to almost take the.
Yeah.
When you're covering something like that,
it just beats the fandom out.
It really does.
Georgia, Ohio State this year was a real.
It was great, but
both games were really.
I think it's for a championship game.
Both games.
Texas
this year.
That was such
crazy.
a
But
crazy
Miami
game.
was on the field celebrating.
They were.
There were fireworks going off.
You're right.
And the official said, "Come back.
Come back.
We have to keep going. This isn't over
You're
yet."
absolutely
For that reason alone, best
We
game
got 2
ever.
more penalties to get to.
We're really gripped by this. We're talking about college football.
Well, but it led us back.
I
to
thought
college
it was
football.
a
It's gone back
completely
and
different
forth.
topic. I was excited about what I thought it was going to be.
You know what? We'll do that tomorrow, Jay.
In my
We got a big guest tomorrow. Stipe's coming on, and so that's going to take a good chunk of the show.
Okay,
so
good.
we'll do that Thursday. We'll get that
Stipe's
back
awesome.
Thursday. Yeah, Stipe's going to be good.
Is
All
he
right,
in
number
studio?
2. No, he's doing something tomorrow. It's virtual, unfortunately. But
I almost wish we could make it on a day where he could come in.
well, hopefully he loves us tomorrow, and then we get him in studio before the next UFC heavyweight fight. But there is a heavyweight fight coming up,
Right.
which is what makes him Bro, this comes back to what we saw on Sunday. Anytime you touch the quarterback, a late hit, unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer, it extends the drive. It always comes on a 3rd and long. No. And usually in today's day and age, it's a soft-ass call. So
this one is bad. This one is the worst. Well, it's kind of, it's 2 of them that get on my nerves. The accidentally touched his helmet.
Yeah. Any sort of contact.
Any helmet.
Any contact to the head. Even if it's a forearm glancing blow to the back of the helmet.
Yep. And then the second one, you put all your weight on him.
Yeah, what am I supposed to just put 60% of my weight on him?
I mean, this is.
You also have parachutes in your back.
You can't levitate?
That is an oxymoron. It does not exist. It's a fallacy. There is no way you can bring another man down without enforcing any sort of weight opposite the amount of weight he's forcing. So if he's 240, to get him down, I must put at least 245 pounds.
That's all you got.
That's all I got. What do you think momentum is? And they're like, oh no, that was weight.
G. Bush tackled a quarterback with 240 pounds instead of 200.
There you
40 pounds overweight, first down.
First down.
What?
It's just basically they trying to get rid of the hits that look bad. I know they're trying to get rid of the shoulder, clavicle hits or whatever, but now I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man.
It's a contact sport, man.
So what you should be upset is the guys like Purdy. See, now what we doing as defensive linemen, when we come around and we reaching around, we don't want to leave our feet. We want to hit you right here in that elbow.
Yeah.
We want to hit you right in that wrist.
Way.
And that is killing people's elbows.
He's Tommy John. Did you see what the outcome was?
Tommy John.
Completely torn UCL, which I've seen guys do that pitching a baseball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
never saw it on a throw. I've never seen it
on a throw once. Grown man, real tears. Thought that his arm was going to fall off. Felt like his arm was going to fall, the bottom half of his arm. And here Purdy went back in the game. And did you guys see the Reggie
pass.
Bush? Did you see the Reggie Bush tweet?
No.
Reggie Bush tweeted, I thought it was someone hijacked his account.
I'm looking for it. I didn't see this.
I was literally aghast at what Reggie Bush, I hope you can find it, what Reggie Bush tweeted about him. Because then Reggie Bush was getting piled on by people that said, oh, you mean like you came back into the game after you took this hit? Because he was saying, I don't care how bad the injury is. I don't care how bad it was. This is a championship game. You get your ass in the game and you play.
No.
And
it's not a thing.
I didn't know it was a completely torn UCL, but when I saw it, I said, it's an elbow. It's probably the UCL. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was completely torn because he did throw the ball after that.
Right.
You can't begin to understand. I'm sure he was shot up heavily. You can't begin to understand how much pain is in your arm when you throw a baseball with either a torn rotator cuff, torn labrum, or torn UCL. Here it is. I don't care if the quarterback has a damn injury. It's the NFC Championship. He better start throwing left effing handed. Then we don't have time for boo-boos. Pat Mahomes was on one leg last week and still got the job done.
Now all we know, come on, Reggie.
Bad job.
This is the danger in live tweeting before
Yeah.
you have all the
Check yourself, man.
Yeah.
Have an editor.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Josh Johnson went out with a concussion. Is he supposed to come back?
Yeah, what was he supposed to do? There was a reply to that tweet that showed Reggie Bush
getting absolutely.
Can you show that one? So
yeah,
it was. I thought it was the best response to Reggie's tweet. It was basically, and I think the tweet got ratioed heavily.
It got very, very, very heavily ratioed.
Yeah, and it should have.
Kudos to you, Jay, for knowing what ratio it is.
Dude, I'm 57. I'm not 157.
Well, I don't know what that is. Give it to me.
Well, it's when you tweet something and it gets more pushback than likes.
Ah, okay.
More comments
than likes.
Retweets.
Yeah, okay.
For people who are into such
and it was
Yeah,
pretty heavily ratioed.
I don't care.
For people that say.
I think I only know that is because Skip once told me that 80% of his tweets are ratioed.
Skip gets ratioed every time.
Yeah.
No one ever agrees with. Listen, sometimes he's not wrong, but no one ever agrees with Skip. Even if they do, they will not publicly say that.
You're afraid to.
And we got the tweet, by the way.
Okay.
You can take it full.
So this was the play. He says, did you not return to this game?
Yeah.
And Reggie, and now it's really not fun to laugh at because Reggie was, I think he was concussed. He gets up. Now he's going to go back down.
Sleep.
And yeah, I was just surprised that I hate it when players are part of a fraternity. They're part of, whether you're a former player, it doesn't mean you have to approve and co-sign everything that's said. But if you disagree with it, it's like taking your dirty laundry from your family and airing it. Keep that shit in-house.
We was in the chat. Somebody was like, man, somebody is weak because they had a meniscus tear. And I was like, yeah, meniscus tears.
I remember that. It was in our chat.
It was in the, I said, nah, bro, you don't know how people different. Some people have a meniscus tear.
You've had them?
Yes, and be hooping. Some people get a meniscus tear and they be surgery immediately.
If you get it locked, so I've had mine locked between my femur and my kneecap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you can't walk.
You can't do nothing.
Because it's pinched. It's literally, so there is a meniscus tear,
but
part of that cartilage is trapped between bones. You're done, okay?
You're not playing.
And so that's why Skip Bayless always used to say, and this was so funny, he said, I wish there was a machine that we could hook up to a player and feel that pain.
Yeah.
Because every injury is different. And you know what? So Reggie Bush is watching that from his living room going, yeah, man, he got his elbow hit. Get back out there. We don't know what he's feeling. And by the way, it ends up that half of his arm, the only thing holding it on was the skin. You know?
Do this, right? And they do it. They do this like test. If you do this, you keep your arm at a 90 degree and have somebody push it back.
Yeah.
Like this. Don't move your shoulder.
Yeah, it's just a pivot here.
It's just a pivot here. Anything past this 90 degrees and your shoulder is locked, all this in here feels so vulnerable. It feels like somebody's like really doing something creepy to you. Like, don't touch me.
Well, imagine throwing anything as hard as you can, but as your arm is at the apex, you run into Ndamukong Suh.
You did. Mm-hmm. It's done.
I'm sorry, that's 0 to, it's 100 to 0
You're done.
instantly.
Yeah. You're done.
And the ligament just isn't strong enough. It's not built to handle that kind of force.
It's like 7 pounds of pressure.
And now he's set back. He will not be ready for training camp next year.
Yeah.
So now the 49ers, that I think they thought they may have found their guy.
Trey Lance is going to start again.
You talk about being in quarterback purgatory.
How sick you might be. You go from Purdy being like, I may be able to get me a bag of money. I'm about to go to the Super Bowl. To no, you're not getting into the Super Bowl, and you have a debilitating injury where you're not going to be ready for training camp.
You'll be late to camp.
And now you're back. That hurts.
It's just insane.
That hurts.
It is. It's
that
insane.
hurts.
All right, we got last one real quick somehow, and then we got to get to Cavs, which I got to intro see we get there. The most demoralizing penalty, though, is when Nick Chubb runs for 75 yards and a receiver and next thing you know, it's coming back.
Is that Jerome Boger?
Yes.
Jerome Boger.
Dude, I don't know why, but when I see him, I get bad feelings in my stomach like I'm going to throw up in my mouth.
Holding. He said.
It's almost like when he does against Cleveland, he's like,
holding.
Holding.
He does it with a smile on his face.
I swear to God he does against
Cleveland. And I'm telling you, it only there's very rarely a holding on a 2-yard run. It's only on a play that is super beneficial to your team, and then it comes back. We got to get to the Cavs, though.
All right.
I will do the most actual,
specific
penalties. Save your list.
Yeah, I don't even have a list. I just have the Browns. It was against the Browns. It was actually helped the Browns, but it was their version of Joe Asai.
Save it. Okay, we'll get to it. Okay,
I'll save it.
This is gonna be good.
We're gonna do our ultimate Cavs lineups here, but I need
Jason's got to get something off his chest first about yesterday's Cavs.
We'll do it at the end of the Cavs before Earl. It'll be a perfect segue.
Okay.
But here's how this came up. Have you guys heard about the AI chatbot that'll write papers for you?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So, Reflog, who came on the show, take the.
Did you hear about that, Jay? You should follow this because the general consensus is that writers are going to be obsolete forever because here's what it can do. You give it 4 keywords
Here's
and
an
it can
example.
write you.
We have examples.
It's unreal, Jay.
It literally.
So I'm about to be out of a job.
Universities are worried that people are going to just start writing papers. So it's called Chat GPT. It's an AI bot. So Reflog had some fun with it.
That's great.
Let's take the next video, Mike. So you make a sarcastic Browns tweet, and the green is what the robot came up with. Glad to see the #Browns are continuing the tradition of excellence by losing yet another game. #NFL. Pretty accurate for Let's go to the next one, Mike. Make a dumb eating bet over the Browns game. The robot says, whoever loses the bet has to eat a spoonful of mustard for every point the losing team loses by. That's essentially what we're going with. And let's see one more, Mike.
Hold on.
Write a paragraph acting like you have inside information on the Cleveland Browns. This is a robot. I'm hearing the Cleveland Browns are planning a major shakeup this offseason. They're targeting several high-profile free agents that have already been in contact with some of the top quarterbacks in the league. They're looking to make a splash in the draft and have been linked to some of the top prospects available. It looks like they'll be making some big moves to try and turn around their fortunes, so it should be an exciting time to be a Browns fan. That is Browns Twitter in a nutshell.
Reflog did all that?
He put it out. So then I
He's
replied to
genius.
Reflog, let's take
genius.
Tagboard, with simply, this is brilliant. So then Reflog responded to that with Anthony, change Tagboard. Give me a topic for the next Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So, Jason, not only are you out of a job, I'm out of a damn job too.
So this is the
topic. This is an
AI came up with
the topic. Who would make the ultimate all-time? Now, you know it's a robot because I would never word it like that. So, yeah, robot, get your swag up. But who would make the ultimate all-time Cleveland Cavaliers team? Which is how the job
here's the thing
began.
about this technology. With everything it writes, it gets better.
Yeah.
It gets smarter. And what it's done is, and here's the real problem with this technology. College students are now using this to write papers that have been submitted to Ivy League professors, and they've gotten A's.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a legit issue.
Where are we going?
Here's the
I know. You know what? If you're a fan of, and no one here is because you're all too young, but the show Twilight Zone.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember the episode where we're all replaced by robots?
No, I don't think I saw that one.
It was a great one. It was everybody's going to be replaced by robots, and ultimately it's the end of society. It's the end of mankind. But I've read extensively about this technology because it's so terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing good about it. I don't see anything good about it. And there are multiple companies. This GPS or whatever
GPT,
is, they're just the first to get there.
They're the first to get there.
There's hundreds more in the pipeline.
We will talk the rest about the bots in overtime
Yeah.
after Anthony's take, because he may have got this take from a chat GPT bot, which you'll learn about. But we have all-time teams, and Jason needs to do something, and Earl got to do something for the end of the show.
No. Just
So,
skip that.
Well, I want to know where we went
No,
wrong
I was just
yesterday
talking
with the
about
Cavs.
this.
We'll get to it, Jason. We'll do it
All
for
right,
the end.
all
But
right.
G, let's start with your ultimate Cavs team. This is your starting team. G came up with a
Starting five. And
G did a secondary 5-2 for this.
Okay.
He did 3 teams.
You asked me to do 2.
I know. I asked everyone for 2. G did
Okay.
extra credit for 1. So, G, this is your first team of your all-time starting 5. You can take it full, Mike.
I mean, this is sponsored by Isaac Asimov. This is my this is my theory of robotics and the laws of robotics right here. This is my death squad. We got Kyrie Irving at point guard, Donovan Mitchell at the 2, LeBron at the 3, but he's really playing the point guard. See how we got shooters around him right there?
You got 3 handlers there.
3 handlers right there. ISO gods out there. And then we got Kevin Love to space the floor at 4, and we got Tristan Thompson who's switching every pick and roll. Get some of that. That's the ultimate death lineup on 2K. You're not losing. It is what it is.
You should ask AI what its ultimate Cleveland lineup would be.
And G, we're going to take your second team because G gave us a first and second
Okay.
team for his 2K lineup.
Now, can there be carryover? So you can take like one guy out? Oh, no, these are all new guys.
No, so he did both the questions I asked you guys, then he gave us a second team for one of the questions.
Oh, I got it.
He
With
went
all
too
different
deep.
guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
he did too deep.
Oh, I love that Ron Harper's on your
Because where I need to go is you got to show depth out here, and I needed to get Anthony's graphics together. We're going to see how he was going to go with Darius Garland. We got him at the point. Mark Price at the 2. We need that floor spacing. Listen, Ron Harper, the Swiss Army knife, the young Ron Harper.
Wow, he was a baller.
And Austin Carr going to get a shot from anywhere. And we got Larry Nance as our rim protector, switching on everything. That's the second team death lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I got every single era in there. I got some of the 70s. I got the 80s.
You do? You got it all
90s.
covered.
I got it all covered.
What's your third
Bang!
team look like? You want to show us third
Yeah,
team?
we'll go
You made the
G's
graphic. Let's see
third
it.
team. It's 111, Mike. This is his all-time lineup.
This is my all-time lineup.
Oh, this is your number 1?
This is my lineup.
Oh, I thought the first one you showed was your number 1.
No, this is my traditional.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah,
doing.
now-
You're blending. Here you're blending.
There's blending. There's Z. I got the 7-footer. I got Big Brad. I think, he goes my power forward. And then, obviously, you got Donovan and LeBron and Kyrie still. So you still get the bigs. This is my 80s lineup. If I want to go against the Knicks, some of the big teams of the 80s,
Sure.
that's my all-time lineup by position, no small ball stuff.
All right, Jay, you want to go?
Jason, let's take it.
All right, so we're doing all time, not title?
What is your title?
Oh, well, title team first. This is pretty easy. I picked the guys that won the title. This took me 3 seconds.
Yeah, what?
Like,
Jay did too, for the record.
I mean, why wouldn't I?
just picked the same squad.
well, I mean, like,
was like, oh,
the
there's
question was pick a team to win a championship. I'm like, well, how about the team that won a
That's
championship?
listen, that's
in a
exactly
Game
my
7
logic.
game?
When I saw it, I'm like,
said
that's easy. I told Anthony right after I got the text.
So Jason texted me that yesterday. Goes, has anyone picked this yet? And I was like, no, that's genius. No one's gonna pick this. And then I texted Jay, and Jay's like,
What?
exactly the same this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I somehow that got lost in my text yesterday. I had
All
a crazy
good.
day yesterday. So when I did see it this morning, you reminded me, hey, get this into Anthony. I'm like, give me the 2016 starting lineup. Like, why would I change it?
Why mess with it?
You know, right. You know, I know you could throw Mitchell in there and make them better, but, like, to me, it's how the puzzle fits together. They
exactly
played well together. They won a title
And
together.
they beat a team that was 73-9.
All-time great team.
Yeah,
So,
give me that team.
Yeah.
You got to win a title, give me that team.
And then here's Jason's
Did you pick a second
secondary
one?
team. This is all-time.
This is my all-time team. I struggled with this one a little bit. Mark Price and Kyrie. I went back and forth. Ultimately, I went with Mark Price because he just played in the wrong era. Like, if he played in today,
Oh,
it would
God.
be unbelievable how many points that man can
And
score.
most people don't understand that.
Oh, yeah. He averaged like 3.5 threes a game, and now, like, they make 3.5 threes a game now. Z and Doherty was really tight for me, too. I'm partial to Z because I have a relationship with him, and I think he's terrific. Doherty didn't get as many blocks because he played alongside Nance. He was such a willing and able passer for a big man. You'd be amazed at how high he ranks on the all-time assist list. AC, I couldn't put Donovan on there. He hasn't been here long enough. So that's why I left Donovan off and went with AC. Tip of the hat to history.
And by the way, if you're saying, wait, where's Shaq? The question was posed, don't go with a player who
Right.
is
Just
all-time
for the
great,
Cavs'
like
career.
Dwayne
Right.
Wade. We're not going to put Dwayne Wade
I,
on there.
I thought about putting Sean Kemp on there.
I did too. He was better than you
Kemp could have
remember.
qualified.
Yes.
Shaq and D. Wade, no.
I thought hard. I said, man, that year I had to go back to 98.
Yeah,
and look.
no, he did have
Sean
some
Kemp,
moments here.
Larry Nance, and Kevin Love are the
Yeah.
three best power forwards.
This was the easiest exercise that I've done in
Yeah,
the
so
history
this
of the show.
was your 2016 lineup. Anthony
Yeah.
made the graphics, so we're gonna show it because these
Yep.
graphics took a while. Shout out to Anthony for kicking butt on these. And then Jay, your other one.
Yeah, so my other one, I
113.
thought this was pretty easy for me. I just went with the second best team in the best non-LeBron team in Cavaliers history was that 88-89 team. They lost to the Bulls in 5 on the famous shot, Jordan over Elo in Game 5. They lost like 101-100 on the buzzer beater. But this team, to me, it's such a shame that we couldn't have seen what they could have done moving forward. It really was the last year Brad Daugherty was Brad Daugherty. Brad started getting hurt after that. But I wanted to look, because we had the conversation yesterday about how guys today take so many games off. And I'm like, I want to go back, because that was 30 years ago. Not quite, no, it was 20.
No, it's 30.
No, it was 30 years ago.
35.
33 years ago.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to see, like, how did they do it? So Mark Price started 75 games. He was hurt. A lot of the games that he missed, I don't know that he was ever just take a seat. He was hurt 7 games. Ron Harper, all 82.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Who is 35?
Mike Sanders.
Mike Sanders.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something about Mike Sanders. I love
Hold
Mike
up,
Sanders.
for the record, I just gave Anthony credit, and on this show we give credit where credit's due. That's not a picture of Mike Sanders, is it, Anthony?
No,
Might be.
It looked like a picture of like Bull Bull.
wait.
Hold on.
I thought it was Mike Sanders.
It is Mike Sanders.
According to Anthony, that's a picture of Phil Hubbard.
Oh, you know what? That
it
is
is.
Phil Hubbard.
Yeah.
Pull
How
that
the hell
back.
did you put Phil
113.
Hubbard? Why did you give me Phil Hubbard?
Anthony, why'd you give him Phil Hubbard?
Shout out
Did
to
I wait? I want to make sure I gave you all the names. I gave you the names.
shout out to Phil Hubbard. He's from my city.
Sanders played like the first 5 minutes, and they brought Hot Rod in.
Don't
Listen, by the end of the year, Hot Rod
Hot Rod was a bench player pretty
he
much
was
his
until
entire
very
time here.
late that year. They started mixing him in. I think I don't know exactly when. It was probably late February or March. He got a couple starts. But then in the playoffs, they just started realizing the rotation was better with Hot Rod starting.
Yeah.
So they had Ron Harper played all 82 games. Ron Harper was a beast.
Yep.
Sanders played all 82. Or in this case, Phil
Phil
Hubbard.
Hubbard, yeah.
Larry Nance played 73 games, and I went and looked, and there were 2 stretches that he was hurt. So again, I don't know that he ever had times where he's like, yeah, I'm going to take the night off, Skip.
Yeah.
Brad Daugherty played 78 games. It was the last time he played close to a full season. Craig Elo gets honorable mention off that team. And Hot Rod Williams. I thought Hot Rod Williams was just tremendous late in the year and particularly in the playoffs. But that team, that was a 57-win team. They finished second in the conference. I believe they finished second in the conference that year. But they had 57 wins. That team just had the misfortune of being around in the Jordan era.
Yep.
You know how many? This is why I always pivot back and forth between, when you ask who's better, LeBron or Jordan. One thing that's so impressive about Jordan is you look at the amount of teams that they had, and the teams that, if you go back to that era, the Atlanta Hawks had Doc Rivers and they had Dominique Wilkins,
right,
and they were nowhere near. Philadelphia 76ers had Dawkins, they had Moses Malone, they had guys like Charles Barkley. They never won. And even as you continue to go on, you look at teams like the Knicks who say they had their best years in the East. You look at guys like the Utah Jazz who went and played them twice, and the Blazers, and so all these
great players that didn't get rings in that era because of Michael.
It's crazy. It just baffles me, and a lot of them. And then Larry Bird, after a while, Larry Bird never was over the hill anymore. They started beating the Pistons, and when they start beating the Pistons, that meant everybody. When you watch that the Dream Team. Michael, they say, who's taking the last shot? You say, man, y'all already know who I'm taking the last shot. That was a dumb question. At that point in time.
You know why it was a dumb question? Because they were never going to be in a situation where they were going to need to take a last shot.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
They roughhoused. They won by 50 points just about every game.
And it was kind of, and I will say this, it was kind of like before it was, don't get it twisted, Magic and Bird were still good athletes, but it kind of like you saw the morph of the athlete. Like Jordan was the first dude doing plyometrics or something. Where did
nobody was doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Dr. J did, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Jordan took it to a whole new level.
Just the same way LeBron looked like the first dude that was lifting weights. So everybody, I ain't gonna lift no weights.
Yeah, that's a tight end now playing like Michael Jordan.
Yeah. And now he's still bullying. To this day, I still watch him and I still don't get it. He's going to break the record. I thought we were just talking about this a couple days ago. He's going to break the record in a few days or something.
Yeah, he's within a week or so.
He's 177 points away.
Yeah.
He is playing either tonight or tomorrow at MSG. He did not play against Brooklyn last night.
Which was odd.
Tonight. He's playing tonight.
He's playing tonight. It was back-to-back. So.
And how much is he averaging?
Which brings us real quick. He's 177 away. Back-to-back brings us right to the point. Jason and I were going back and one of the coolest parts of this job is now I get to text really smart people with takes, and they tell me if I'm smart or not. We get to discuss
now
it.
Just do it. Just text AI.
Well, now I could do that. But me and Jason got into a little conversation yesterday about the load management, rest, what the NBA wants to do to kind of fix this issue. And Jason, if you want to enlighten us on some of your thoughts.
Is that when you were screaming at us yesterday?
Yeah, well, no, I was screaming about the 49ers. You guys are nuts, but we don't have time to get into that.
Damn. Jason agrees with me for the record.
You guys are
on
insane.
what? I don't even know what we're talking about.
They didn't have the right fourth-string quarterback. I don't want to get into.
I thought that was a silly argument anyhow.
So in terms of how you fix this thing, I think you guys were really close yesterday in what you were talking about. To me, you have to eliminate back-to-backs. That's going to remove the crutch because all these coaches.
Then you got to cut 82.
Well, no. So I'm going to condense this down. Steve Kerr sat everyone here at Golden State. They were on a back-to-back. They lost at Boston the night before. LeBron sat last night as a back-to-back. They're playing tonight. The Clippers were on a back-to-back and playing 3 games in 4 nights. So that's the excuse that coaches go to. It's a back-to-back. We have to rest our guys. They have more data now. These guys wear these body sensors, and they tell them when they're running in the red, when they're at risk for injury.
Right.
So that's when they sit guys down. Because Mike said, could you take a week off before you start the playoffs? And now everyone's nice and rested. That doesn't solve it because you're worried about January when they're running in the red and their bodies are weak. Teams have done all of these sleep studies now. Now they stay in cities an extra night rather than fly that night after the games. They stay there now and they fly the next morning, trying to give guys more rest. And so it's become this big thing.
The Warriors didn't do that.
It depends on the schedule. Sometimes they stay over, sometimes they don't. I don't know what goes into the reasoning, but I know NBA teams are staying over.
They're starting to do that more
in cities after games now than they ever did before. So to me, you have to eliminate back-to-backs. You're never going to get them to play all 82. You're never going to. You could cut the schedule to 72. They're still going to sit guys. But if you eliminate the back-to-backs, that takes out a lot of the reasoning.
What I'm saying is that mathematically possible?
Well, so here's the flip side.
Because now you got 164 days to play the regular season.
Well, now you're extending the season. But also, I don't think you need 2.5 months to play the postseason. The NBA postseason goes on forever. So here's what this has been kind of kicked around. Something I was also thinking about. Give the team, at least maybe in the finals, you can go 2-2, 1-1-1 for the finals. All the other rounds,
2-3-2.
No, 2-2-3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And give the team home court advantage. Give them five home games.
Yeah.
And now you got something to play for. Now you're incentivizing teams to get one of those top 4
Yeah, but
seeds.
you're never going to have upsets.
Why don't they just move back to 5 games? Why do you need the one versus 8 to be 7 games?
The first round used to be 5. You can make. My point is, there's a lot of fat to trim in the postseason, or you could cut that way back.
The postseason almost loses my attention.
It's 2.5 months.
It's just too long.
In the early rounds, you have 2-3 days between games. It's insane. So there's a lot of fat you could trim. You could narrow that down, extend the regular season, condense the postseason a little bit. I think that there's room, but ultimately you have to get to eliminating the back-to-backs, I think, is the crux of this, and they've tried that in the past.
Somebody brought this up. They saw our discussion yesterday, and they said, well, I've got an idea, and I had never heard this before. Why don't we go to a 6-team play? Forget the nonsense. When has a 7 or an 8 ever won it?
Never.
Thank you.
Never going to.
Then why are we playing them?
Money.
You
more
want
playoff games.
But now we make it more interesting, and you do it like baseball does it. Give the 1 and 2s buys. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. You're immediately into the conference semifinals. You condense the playoffs by a month, maybe more.
Yeah.
And now you can take in the regular season instead of having 82 games in 135 days or 140 days, whatever it comes out to. Now you can do that. You can assure that you never. I don't think you should have a back-to-back. I don't think that's just insane.
Yeah.
It's just craziness. So a 7 isn't going to win. An 8 isn't going to win. Let's stop the madness.
But they're going to generate TV dollars in extra playoff series, and I don't think they're ever going to go away from that. The other thing I was wondering,
it's just greed.
And I just was spitballing this last night. I don't know the logistics of the scheduling, but in the East you play teams 4 times, twice at home, twice on the road. So when Boston comes here, play them on Monday and Wednesday. Now you're done with Boston.
Well, that's smart. You cut down on the travel.
You cut down on the travel.
Like baseball does.
You can't do it on the West necessarily, but in the West, a lot of times all those are clumped together anyway. It's a West Coast trip.
I like that.
West teams come east. So Toronto comes here. You play them Tuesday and Thursday. You're done with Toronto. You go to Toronto. You play them on a Sunday and a Tuesday.
By the way,
now you're done with Toronto.
It's like baseball.
It gives coaches a better opportunity to get prepared for playoff series when you're going to play the same team 7 times in 13 days.
I like that.
I like that
and
a lot.
it really condenses down on the travel.
I also, I do think to get rid of the 7 and 8 seeds, give the 1 and 2s buys, gives them something to play for. The 3 plays the 6, the 4 plays the 5, and you're automatically to the conference semifinals. And these are the teams that have a chance to win it anyhow.
Ultimately, and I'll put a bow on it with this, it's not going to, teams are not incentivized right now to do, they don't care.
No.
Because they've just made, I think it was $25 billion or $250 billion, some insane number off the television contracts from ESPN and TNT. As long as that money's coming in, they don't care.
They don't care.
So,
and they don't care about the players' health either. They'll pretend they do, but they don't. Earl is with us because today is January 31st, and we understand that's a pretty special day to you.
Yeah, very, very special.
So that's
day.
your final take.
Very special day. So January 31st, 2018. If you see my chain, it's a picture of my dad. I lost my dad April 4th, 2018. He reached 2 million miles. My dad was a truck driver. Drove 18 wheelers for over 25 years. 2 million miles is equivalent to 2 times around this entire United States. He did that with no accidents, no tickets, getting every load to its destination safely. The significance of that is he did that on my daughter's 10th birthday. Today my daughter is 15. Ayana, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, to let you know how proud I am of you, the young lady that you're becoming, the athlete, the little entrepreneur. You got a 4.0 GPA. Everything that you're doing, keep doing it. They say a measure of a parent is when your kids turn out better than you. And I just want you to know, I think that you're 20 times better than me right now. Don't ever stop being who you are. Keep striving for greatness and just keep pushing this envelope forward at all times. I love you. That was it.
That's plenty. That's strong, brother.
That's awesome, man.
That's strong. 2 million miles.
2 million miles.
So it's 25,000 miles around the globe. 25,000. So that's almost 10 trips around the globe.
I got a picture of it on my Twitter. When you go to my Twitter, you will see it.
And how did he inspire you to get into the game?
And my dad was a legend to me. You know, a lot of people look at these athletes and they get so angry when they like mess up and make mistakes because they idolize them. You know, that's their role model. Not for me. You know, my dad was legendary. He was a hard-working man, a man's man. And when my father passed away, it just put something in me to, you got one life to live. And this thing comes and goes pretty fast. I don't want to be looking up from my grave wondering what I could have done or wishing that I could have done X, Y, and Z. My dad is my biggest inspiration and motivation to this day. It just sucks he can't physically see this phase of my life.
Well, I'll tell you this. He's looking down on you with pride because I know your mother's had some health issues lately. And it brings so much joy to my heart when I hear you talk about not having to help take care of mom, but getting to take care of mom.
Yeah.
He's proud of the man that you are, and we're proud of you. You're a good dude, brother.
Yeah. So are you, man.
Thanks.
So are you.
And my math is horrible. That's almost 100 times around the globe.
Yeah.
2.5 million times would be 100 times around the globe.
Crazy.
To do it on her birthday. You
That's
know,
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like his last mark. before
Happy
he got
birthday,
out of here.
Pops. Happy birthday. Well done.
Thanks,
Very
man.
well done. You want to wrap it up?
Stipe tomorrow.
Nice.
DM me topics, and we're gonna have a good one. I'm excited for Stipe. I'm a big UFC fan, so
Yeah,
I'm
he's
really
a
excited for Stipe.
great
Hey,
guy,
now,
too.
if you put on all the guard and the gear, would you let him punch you in the stomach with the pads on, McNuggets?
Yeah.
We got to go. I told McNuggets he should stand in front of Stipe and try to say Kyle Hogan the proper way.
I'll say it so fast he don't know what hit him.
Yeah, cool.
Stipe,
Kalga,
you touch
Kalga.
me, I'm
Peace.
suing you. Don't touch my body.
Overtime. Anthony's
See you
getting
tomorrow.
roasted. Stay tuned.
Yeah, Anthony's about to get roasted on overtime.